Vegeta. These last 7 years in Otherworld, I've been through the most intense training sessions, but we're still completely even. I guess this whole time you've been pushing yourself even harder than I have.
That may be true. I push myself to the edge of my limits and beyond. But you've been born with a natural talent far beyond my own. No amount of training could have closed the gap between us. I realize that now. It was made painfully obvious to me today as I watched your fight with Bobity's monster. Imagine my shock to see the undeniable proof, to discover that no matter how hard I tried, I would never be able to catch you. A warrior prince forever living in the shadow of a low-level clown. So that's when I secretly made up my mind.
You mean you? You fool! You deliberately let yourself fall under Bobity's spell.
Yes, I saw the power of Bobity's magic. At the World Martial Arts Tournament, those two henchmen he sent.
I forgot they really messed up. I forgot about that.
It's like he's a different person!
Like nobody stepped in. That was kind of crazy. I don't know.
The people who had seen those fighters in the previous tournament couldn't understand how they become so powerful. But you and I know, don't we? It was Bobity's magic, and I knew that what his magic had done for those fighters, it could also do for me. I knew that if I allowed myself to fall under his control, the difference in our power would disappear. I'm quite pleased with the results, even if they do come at a price. I'd say the end more than justifies the means.
Vegeta, I don't understand. You've never allowed anyone to help you before in your life. Why start now? Why Bobity?
Because I wanted him to reawaken the evil in my heart.
I should probably get
I
started.
wanted him to return me to the way I was before. I was the perfect warrior, cold and ruthless. I lived by my strength alone, uninhibited by foolish emotions.
Let's get this started.
But slowly, over the years, I became one of you. My quest for greatness gradually giving way to this life of mediocrity. I awoke one day to find that I had settled down, formed a family. I had even grown quite fond of them. Would you believe? I almost started to think the Earth was a nice place to live. Do you understand now, Kakarot?
That was great.
That's why I needed Bobity to set me free by releasing the evil in my heart. He has freed me of these petty attachments. And I'd have to say it feels pretty good.
Did you really believe what you're saying?
I gotta put this down. I'm about to finish this fight later. I gotta go do this whole. Gotta do this whole therapy session, so I'm about to finish that fight later. All right, let's get this started here. A few things I gotta do. It doesn't even matter. The fight, the rest of this fight ain't even much of anything. They get interrupted because they gotta go deal with Boo. I forgot I didn't even. All right. Starting off right foot. Give me a second, guys. Oh, yes. This is exactly what I wanted you to do right now. Oh my God, I got way too many damn tabs open. Cannot have this many tabs open and then just assume everything will be easy to do what I gotta do. A multitude of tabs open is crazy. You know what? At this point, we just gonna have to work with it because I already started the stream. So we just got to work with it. I don't think there's anything I can do in regards to right now. We're just gonna have to go through it. All right. So yeah, I'm a have to. I'm gonna finish this. Wait, do I know this fight finishes? Yeah, there was not much left to this fight because they got interrupted by. Yep, there it is. They got interrupted by Boo. They got to stop, and then Vegeta knocks out Goku on some BS. Oh, he really stared. He really stared him down. Nah, bro. I am tired of Goku dropping his guard, bro. Every time he drops his guard, he gets cooked. All right, I'll have to finish that later. We gotta actually do this. Screw it. You know what? Let's go through the classics. I can do Goku versus Vegeta. I can do Naruto versus Sasuke. I can go through some of these classics. I can go through some of the classic fights because why not? Alright. Alright. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. Let's let's get this started. I'm gonna actually read some of the comments first before we get started with the therapy session, just to get a mindset of how you guys are doing. What's going on, John? What's going on, Jaheim? What am I watching? I was watching Goku and Vegeta fight. It was Goku versus Majin Vegeta from the Buu saga. All right, so I know it's hard as a Ravens fan. I mean, once you accept what it is, you kind of just move on with your life. What's going on, Chaos? We're so cooked, man. I'm just numb. Don't blame you. You rewatching the Buu saga? I wasn't completely rewatching the Buu saga. The thing is, I wanted to go back and like watch some of the early aspects. So I wanted to go back and rewatch the Goku and Vegeta fight, but I also wanted to rewatch the tournament because that was the tournament's kind of underrated. I wanted to just see some of those other stuff. So I also wanted to see the end of the Cell saga as well, because Gohan's my favorite character, and that's his finest hour. So I go back and rewatch that moment all the time. This team is checked out on Harbs, probably. We'll discuss that. Bring your positive thoughts out with the bad, in with the good. I guess. I don't know how this is gonna go. Did you see Harbs throwing his coordinators under the bus in the press conference? He threw his one coordinator under the bus. He is babying and protecting Zachary Orr. He straight up cooked Todd Monken for everything that went wrong in that Chiefs game. Funny how he can call out Todd Monken when his offense has been doing their job for much of the year, but he doesn't really say much of anything about the defense, and he doesn't call out his coaching. He was so quick to call out coaching for offense, but didn't say a word about coaching for defense because Zachary was his guy. Todd Monken is not somebody Harbaugh picked. Greg Roman was Harbaugh's guy. Todd Monken is not a Harbaugh guy. So it's easy for him to throw somebody that's not his guy under the bus. But Zachary Orr, that's a Harbaugh guy. That's a guy he used to coach as a player, and now is on his staff. That's a Harbaugh guy. So it's easy when it's somebody that you didn't pick. But when it's someone you pick, you're not going to criticize him. I've been numb since week one. I called last week. Dude, everybody called last week. Keep It Real needs that anime therapy. There's, oh my God. I was actually talking with, because I had to go get my oil changed today. So I was actually at the shop, and I was wearing my Tokyo Ghoul jersey. I was wearing my Tokyo Ghoul shirt because, like, I think I was wearing, yeah, I got my Tokyo Ghoul shirt. So I was wearing that, and I was, like, sitting and waiting while I got my oil changed, and the guy that was there was a huge anime fan, and he called me out, and we started talking about anime because he's watching a bunch of stuff right now. Because he asked me if I watched if I went to see the Demon Slayer movie, which I have not seen yet. I have to go see it. I've read the manga. I know what's gonna happen. Like, I want to go see the Demon Slayer movie. I have not done that yet. At some point, I will. So he was asking me about that, and then we were just going on, and he was speaking about all the stuff he's watching right now. You know, he's just waiting for Fire Force to come back and JJK and all this other stuff. So we were just talking about anime. So yeah, I mean that would technically count as some anime therapy, I guess. Kind of. I don't know, but that was an interesting moment because I didn't even know, because this is my first time going there. It's the same guy that I always get my oil change with. So, you know, I know how the conversation usually goes, but I this is the first time I've shown up with an anime shirt, and I never knew he watched anime because I never talk about anime outside. So I didn't know he watched anime, and that was funny because I got in a conversation with that. I also had like a Bleach shirt too. And I'm not gonna lie, when you're wearing an anime shirt, you never know. You never know how things are gonna go when you wear an anime shirt. Because I was at the store too, like a few days ago, and one of the workers that was there, he literally stopped me by because I was wearing a Bleach shirt. And that dude he is a hardcore anime fan. He has a bunch of cosplays and stuff. Um, he goes to plenty of anime conventions and stuff. So that guy he was showing me all the pictures and stuff. And in terms of the different outfits and cosplays and stuff he has. This is the funniest thing in the world that I found because like he was talking about it and we were just really connecting on anime. And then the dude was like, "Hey man, I gotta get your Instagram because I wanna show you some of the pictures because I'm going to a convention in October because he was talking about that." So he hit me up and I did not realize this. This is the weirdest thing in the world. He usually asks me for my Instagram. And I was like, sure, man, I would definitely want to see the outfit when it's done because he's actually working on a really cool outfit. I actually want to see it. And like he handed me his phone and I'm like going through Instagram and I'm like typing in my username and I'm not even joking. This guy is a Ravens fan. Like I didn't even realize that. So this guy was a Ravens fan. Not only is he a Ravens fan, the dude follows me on Instagram. I didn't even realize. I was so confused. I was like, did he know me from Instagram and that's why he started talking to me? That was the weirdest. I've never had a moment like that. Because I was literally buying something and then he talked about the shirt and then we had a conversation and then he asked my Instagram. I'm typing in my Instagram. I click on my profile and he's already following me. And not only that, he's a Ravens fan as well. So he's definitely been seeing the takes. I've never had an encounter like that before. That was the weirdest encounter I've ever had. So yeah, like that's life sometimes. That's life sometimes. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But yeah, that's life sometimes. Let's see, let's get back to this because I really gotta get started on this therapy session. A lot of you guys are here for that. You're not here to hear me talk about anime. You're here to get into or at least pour your emotions out in regards to this. And I got a lot to talk about in regards to today, in regards to what's happening right now because we have a lengthy injury history. So I got to get on that. Let's see. Why is Tyreek Hill happy to be injured? I don't know what that situation is, but it is what it is. Yeah, but yeah, he looked like he either broke his leg or dislocated his leg. I think the report was he dislocated his leg, but I don't know. I think he broke it, but some are saying he dislocated. Either way, he's done for the year. Yeah, Tyreek is cooked. Basically tore damn near every ligament in his knee, most likely. What's going on, Jalen? We are getting ready to start the therapy session here. Vegeta wanted MVP for that arc. He tried to steal a win. He really did try to steal a win because he caused the problem. Him and Goku caused the problems because they were too busy fighting. It was Vegeta that was like, man, this is the only day you're gonna be here. You're gonna go back to the other world after this, and this is the only chance I'm gonna get to fight you. So we're fighting here. And he purposely let Babidi possess him so he can get a huge power boost to be on equal terms with Goku. So that whole fight literally caused Majin Buu to be resurrected. So yeah, Goku and Vegeta are responsible for that. And Vegeta's like, I'll take responsibility for that. I'll go fight Buu. Then he fought him, realized he's not strong enough to beat him, and decided to sacrifice himself, which was a very powerful moment for Vegeta at that point because that was the first time he was willing to actually put his life on the line and sacrifice himself for the sake of others instead of doing things for himself. So that was a great moment there for him. First time, but we know how Vegeta is now. If you've seen Super, you know how Vegeta is now. He cares about his family. And he's a hero, so it's what it is. But yeah, Tyreek Hill is done for the year. I don't think we need to see anything there. Tyreek Hill is done for the year. Gotta get back to Dragon Ball Z. You gotta watch the classics, man. You gotta watch the classics. What's going on, Loyal? Obviously, it's gonna be a big week for both of our teams, huh? We play each other this week. Oh yeah, Ravens Wise checked out after halftime and went to play rivals. Don't blame you. Salute, what's going on, Ravens 76? What's going on, man? I'm hoping we miss the playoffs. If it happens, so be it. I saw what happened to Tyreek Hill. Silent. It was nasty. I'm just here because I'm a fan of the channel. I also love watching the Ravens as a Steelers fan. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate the love and support. Could be worse. We could be the Jets. That team is horrible, but the Jets are horrible every single year, and nobody picked the Jets to go to the Super Bowl. A lot of pundits picked the Ravens to go to the Super Bowl, and they were one of the main team's favorites to get to the Super Bowl. Everyone expected the Jets to be terrible. So this is what it is. Team Mutiny in progress, I doubt it because there's not going to be any major changes. If there's any changes that could happen, it would have to be in the bye week. And let me be honest, if this team is under 500 heading into the bye week, there will be a serious mutiny. John Harbaugh can he can save his skin or save. Obviously, John Harbaugh's not going to get fired, but somebody's going to take responsibility for this. And if somebody's going to get thrown under the bus, it's going to be Zachary Orr because Harbaugh's not going to get fired for Zachary Orr. So if this team can't win their next 2 games, and if they go into the bye week at 3-3 with all the injuries, I promise you they won't change a damn thing because they'll be like, okay, we just had a tough start. Injuries, guys weren't prepared, but a lot of guys are going to be coming back off of these injuries. We survived. We went to 500. We're good. If they're under 500 into the bye week, there's a high chance Zachary Orr gets fired because John Harbaugh's not taking the heat for anybody. Todd Monken might not be perfect, but he's much better than Giro. His offense is ranked number 3 in the league right now. So, yeah. Harbaugh's losing the locker room little by little. Dude, he's probably already lost the locker room. I wanted the Ravens to go after Aaron Glenn. Yeah, they didn't. It was a weak move by Hards, but that's on par for the course for him. Nobody's surprised about that. I got a Tokyo Ghoul shirt. Too. That one is better than mine. Hey, I appreciate it. I mean, it's pretty good one. I have a Tokyo Ghoul shirt. I have a Demon Slayer shirt. I have a One Piece shirt. I have a Dragon Ball shirt, and I have a Bleach shirt. For some reason, I have not gotten a hold of a Naruto shirt. I don't know how. Are you going to look at Five Nights at Freddy's 2 when it comes out? I will have to take a look at it. I haven't been too locked into the Five Nights at Freddy's series, but I will probably take a look at it. What's going on, Zanger? This defense might let up 50 versus Houston, let Nico Collins break the receiving yards record. Wouldn't be surprised if they do so. Honestly, wouldn't. Nothing surprises me with this defense anymore. Old school anime guy, huh? Yeah, I love some of the newer stuff. I haven't watched all the newer stuff because I really haven't been locked in on anime as much as I really should be. So, yeah, I enjoy some of the newer stuff, but yeah, I'm more of an old school anime guy. I mean, I could just bring up series that I don't think people really know. Like, I don't know how many people actually know about City Hunter. I don't know how many people would actually know about let me see if I can bring it up. I mean, Fist of the North Star I think is at least popular enough or common enough to not common enough in this era, but people would at least have heard of Fist of the North Star because of the classic Kenshiro move with the Kenshiro move of the constant attacks at your pressure points and then him finishing the statement with "you're already dead." So someone would have at least an idea of what Fist of the North Star is. I don't know if anybody would know about what's it called? Oh my god! I saw when I went to a convention last year. I remember seeing this. I can't remember the name of it. No, not Vagabond, not Vagabond. What am I thinking of? 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 No, hold on. I literally was talking about it the other day. Trigun, there it is, Trigun. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people would know what Trigun is. I don't think a lot of people would know about the City Hunter anime. People know about Berserk, but I don't think people have watched Berserk. Most people that talk about Hunter x Hunter talk about the 2011 version. They don't talk about the 1999 version, which, I mean, it has its ups and downs. There's some really dark scenes in the 1999 version that just does it better than the 2011 version. I'm pretty sure people know about Inuyasha. What else could I pull up from some of the older stuff? No one knows. I don't know if anyone really remembers or talks about the Get Backers. There's some old school stuff from the 90s, like the Law of Ueki. I could just go on and on. I have seen a lot of old school animes. I grew up on this stuff. I could go on and just bring you. Oh, you heard of Trigun? Okay, that's good. I don't know how many people would know about these series because again, like Trigun, the Law of Ueki, City Hunter. People know about Berserk. People know about Fist of the North Star. People would know about the 1999 Hunter x Hunter. People would know about these series. So, or at least with Hunter x Hunter and Berserk, those are popular enough to be known about. But some of these other ones, I don't know how much people would know about. Everyone knows about Kira. Everybody knows about the Gundam series. So that's not much to be talked about. Evangelion? Is that still no, it wouldn't be popular. Evangelion may not be talked about. So I grew up with a lot of the old school anime too. So I don't know if people would talk about Evangelion enough to sit back and say nowadays it's known. Oh my god, you actually knew about the law. Yeah, that's actually Gantz. Yes, Gantz is another one. Dude, people don't talk about Gantz like that. I rarely hear anybody mention it. I rarely hear people mention it. There's a lot of old school series. Again, with the newer stuff nowadays, it's all cool, it's all awesome and stuff. Phantom is a nice one. There's a lot of, it's not popular, but Evangelion has been the best anime opening for sure. Oh, we can go. We can have a whole conversation about anime openings. We can have a whole conversation about anime openings. There's so much. Okay, I feel like I have to do like at least for this channel. I mean, I will probably one of these days. I'm really gonna like lock into the anime stuff. But like one of these days, I feel like I will definitely do like an open end stream where we could really just talk about anime and stuff. But I ain't gonna lie, we cannot talk about it right now. This is the therapy session. I always try to start the therapy session lighthearted because let's be real, this gets dark fast. When we lose and we play poorly, this stream gets dark, it gets negative, and I always want to start on the positive side here on the stream because I don't want people to get overly negative and emotional, you know, in these things. It's a therapy session, of course, but I always want to start off on a positive note. If you guys have noticed this, I always start on some sort of positive note so we can at least warm ourselves up, talk about something that's happy or that's great, making us happy, making us joyous, something we enjoy before we actually get into the aspect of the therapy session. And at some point, I do have to cut it off because we could go forever. We could go forever. We can go forever. And I can't do that. Wait, I mentioned it. I mentioned get backers. Does anybody know what get backers are? Obviously, I think everyone knows about GTO. Great teacher Onizuka. I think we know about that. I don't know if people know about Hammer Session. There's a lot of oh my god, I've watched too much anime. I've watched too much anime and I've read too much manga, and I've never talked and discussed about this. What am I doing in my life? Love Hina. Yeah. I love Hina. That's I know about that. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really I've watched them growing up because I was surrounded by I live in the family of mostly girls. So I have my sister and then a bunch of cousins that are all female. So I grew up with that. So I had to see a lot of romance anime and I never cared for that. I think my favorite not my favorite, Jesus, not mine. My sister's favorite, I know about Jagan. I know about Jagan. I've watched it and I've read the manga. Um, what's it called? My sister's favorite, at least in terms of actually, I don't know if it's still the case. I think I would have to ask her for that. I think it was either Orin High School Host Club or it's Black Butler. I don't know which one is her favorite of the two. It's a whole thing, but those are just some of her favorite series that I had to watch growing up with her, which I'm not. I don't care about Orin High School. It's cool. Listen, if I was thinking about high school of the dead is where I was gonna be because that was crazy. Kingdom season 6, yes, Kingdom season 6 is dropping. It is coming up. We also have confirmation. I think what is it, the fourth or the fifth Kingdom live action movie that is coming up as well. Anyway, I'm getting off track. I am getting off track. For the people that don't watch anime and did not come here for that, this is the Ravens Week 4 therapy session. Oh my god, this is why we have fun here. We try to keep things positive for the first 20 to 30 minutes. But for those of you that have entered the chat that are coming here, be like, all right, let's get this over with. We're going to talk about the problems with this team. This defense sucks. The coaching staff is terrible. You click, and I know Keeping It Real's finna go at it. And then you click on the live stream, and here's Keeping It Real talking about, oh yeah, man, Black Butler was this. Like, you came here for the therapy session. For the last 20 minutes, we just talked about anime. Like, for the people that don't watch anime in this chat that are just here for football, they're like, all right, bro, you yapping now. You yapping now. Get to the part where you talk about Zachary or his defense. So, are we good, guys? I really will open up. I really feel like I gotta start opening up streams where we can actually talk about anime and stuff. Because I feel like that is something we could get into. Like, just have a nostalgia fest of so many different series. Because I would really do that. I would really love to do that for the most part. And I saw. We're going to get back into that. We're going to get back into that. Who said it? I know I saw somebody say it. This has nothing to do with talk about, but I know I saw somebody say it. Oh, no. Darius. Legend. He knows about the get backers. That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, we gotta get back into this because if we keep going, people gonna be like, "Listen, I came for the football talk. I didn't come here to hear you talk about your favorite animes." Let's get into it. Let me see how much time it is. We are officially 25 minutes into this stream, guys. It's been fun. We can sit here for hours and talk about anime. Like legit, we can. Also, I want to answer this one question as well, just before we leave the anime part. Somebody brought it up here. Where is it? 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 Someone asked me earlier. Matt. One Piece is not ended yet. One Piece is in its final saga, which we have no idea when that's going to end. We're in Elbaf right now. We're in a huge flashback, which is dealing with a lot of significant characters. I don't want to spoil that, but we're in Endgame now for One Piece. In terms of Kingdom, we are technically in Endgame now. I don't want to spoil what's happening with Kingdom. I recommend you guys go read it. It's one of the greatest series of all time. But we are, quote unquote, in Endgame now, but it's the beginning of the end because we got a lot of work to do to really get to the end in terms of accomplishing our ultimate goal in the story. So yeah, Kingdom is, we at the climax of the series. One Piece is not ending just yet. We are at the final saga, not the final arc. The final saga. Oda told us we're in the final saga. We don't know how many arcs are in this final saga, but in terms of the previous saga, it basically was the beginning of post-time skip all the way to the end of Wano. That was the previous saga. But we are not in Endgame for Kingdom. I'm saying Endgame, you know what I'm talking about. Endgame in terms of we really getting down to business. Dude, the last 15 years of Kingdom has been building up to taking down these 7 kingdoms. And I can't, you know what I mean? We already kind of, and now we're taking on, and this is the final battle against, and you know who's going to be, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to, Niter, you know what I'm talking about specifically. If you've caught up to the manga, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm not going to spoil it here. But we already took down one of the, and now we're on the biggest, and we've been trying to take these guys down for 15 years, and now it's time to, you know. Anyway, I'm going to stop here. I just wanted to answer that last question. Shout out to United as well for the $5 donation. Steelers and Ravens in the same boat, starting in different directions. We suffering together, my guy. Appreciate that. I mean, Steelers right now, they're just enjoying this last year. Michael, chill. We can't, I ain't trying to spoil no one. But you are absolutely correct. And by the way, Michael, Hara is a menace. This arc has so many death flags. Like, I'm worried for several characters. Dog, Hara is a menace. What he did with the person you just named and the other person, that just happened before this huge battle. And we know one, if not both of them, are going to get smoked. That's crazy for Hara to set that up just before this final battle. That's crazy. He's a menace for that. There's too many death flags on too many characters. Anyway, I'm going off track. I just want to answer that last question. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we have spent nearly 30 minutes talking about anime. I will at some point, I honestly, maybe this week. Y'all think we should do a stream this week to just talk about anime and chill? Should we do that Thursday night? What is Thursday night football? Let me see. Because I know a lot of y'all would definitely... Let me see what Thursday night football is this week. If the game is not that good, I'd prefer us to just do a stream like that. Because I would actually like to... I know there's a lot of stuff we could do. I ain't gonna lie. It would be good. With the way the Ravens are playing this season, we could use that to take our minds off of things. Let me see what Thursday night football is this week. Niners and Rams. We can't do that. We can't do that with the Niners and Rams. But I won't do it Thursday, but I think we have time this week. We'll probably, I'll find the time. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, maybe Friday. Maybe we'll do it this week. Just be on the lookout for that. We'll do it this week and we'll just talk about anime. I think we can do that. Anyway, I'm sorry we went off track so much. Usually I like to cut it after 20 minutes, but y'all started asking me some questions and then y'all started bringing up things where I really would want to talk about it. Really would. But nah, we're going to have to chill on that. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Ravens flock, I apologize for the huge step in the opposite direction. I apologize for the delay. Welcome, everybody, to the Week 4 therapy session. Right now, the Baltimore Ravens stand at 1-3 on the season. They are coming off of a humiliating loss against the Kansas City Chiefs. They lost the game 37-20, but in reality, it was 37-13. But hey, you got 7 points in garbage time. Let's actually take a second to really discuss the game for a second and speak on both sides. So, as I am staring at this here, let me give you the play-by-play to let you know just how disastrous this game went for Baltimore. So, Baltimore heads to Kansas City in a matchup in which they know they need a win or they're going to drop to 1-3 against a team that they have beaten once in 8 years and a team that has their number. So here's how the game went down. Opening drive for the Ravens. They go 9 plays, 70 yards, get in the end zone for a touchdown. Lamar throws a quick pass to Justice Hill, and he takes it into the end zone. That first drive was exactly what the Ravens needed to do the entire game. The game plan was there. You know Spags was going to send the blitz. What do? You get the ball to the hands quickly. Quick pass. The short passing game was showcasing itself on that opening drive. And that's what it carved the Chiefs' defense in that opening drive. Kansas City gets the ball. They go down the field. Tavius Robinson makes a touchdown-saving play by batting the ball on 3rd down. Thanks to him making that play, the Chiefs have to settle for 3. Baltimore comes back on the ensuing drive, and Spags proceeds to ramp up the blitz. And because he ramps up the blitz, the pressure gets to Lamar. He has nowhere to go. He's under duress. He tries to force the ball to Mark Andrews. And if you've seen Lamar Jackson's history with his turnovers, when he forces the ball to Mark Andrews, a lot of times it comes down to either Mark Andrews making an incredible play or Mark Andrews getting smoked, getting beat, and it results in an interception. In this situation, it resulted in an interception. First interception of the season for Lamar Jackson. And I'm telling you this right now. Everybody that watched this game, you saw it on the stream, even I spoke about it. As soon as that pick happened, I declared the game over because I knew exactly how this game was going to go. Everybody knew how this game was going to go from that point forward. Once Lamar threw that pick, I knew the Chiefs were in his head once again. He was never going to keep himself calm after that. He was never going to recover. He was gone. Mentally, he was gone. The Chiefs get that ball. They go 79 yards. 79 yards. And kick a field goal. "79 yards, they kick a field goal. Baltimore gets the ball on the ensuing drive. It's a 7-6 game. You don't need to panic, Baltimore. Turnover, it is what it is. Go do your job. Baltimore proceeds to run 4 plays. They pick up a 1st down, and then they can't go further, and they are forced to punt. The blitz gets to Lamar again. Nowhere to throw the football. Punt. Kansas City gets the ball, and Mahomes ain't going to blink twice. He takes him down the field, 5 plays, 56 yards, and a touchdown. And just like that, Kansas City gets the lead, and they do not relinquish the lead for the rest of the game. Baltimore gets the ball on the ensuing drive. They go 3 and out. Oh, no, they don't. Harbaugh decides to take a risk. We're going to go for it on 4th down. I don't even think Lamar Jackson was on the field during this first 4th down play. And the Ravens proceed to do absolutely nothing with the ball there. They don't convert the 4th down play, so it's a turnover on downs. Kansas City, thanking the Ravens for doing everything they can to collapse, says, okay, we're going to take the ball. We're going to go down the field, short field here, and we're going to score a touchdown. 6 plays, 40 yards, touchdown. 20-7 Chiefs. Baltimore gets the ball on the ensuing drive, and it only took 3 plays. Nothing going right, and then Lamar Jackson fumbles the ball because he runs into his offensive lineman, and the offensive lineman knocks the ball out of his hands, fumble, recovered by the Chiefs, and everything is a disaster. That second turnover, Lamar had enough. He completely checked out the game, and we knew nothing was going to go well from there. The Chiefs, they move down the field, get into field goal range, but they end up missing the field goal. It was crazy to see Butker miss the field goal there, but he missed it. So it stays 20-7. Baltimore, just before halftime, goes down the field and kick a field goal to make it 20-10. So it's a 10-point lead for the Chiefs. Baltimore has to calm themselves down and get things going, right? Chiefs have the ball coming out of halftime. You think the defense is going to make a stop? Hell no. They let the Chiefs go down the field. 6 plays, 65 yards, and Mahomes gets in the end zone again for another touchdown, 27-10. The Ravens get the ball to start off the Ravens get the ball on their opening drive for the 3rd quarter. They go 8 plays, 56 yards, can't get the ball moving any forward, settle for a field goal. That field goal was the last points the Ravens offense scored with their starters. The last amount of points they scored with their starters for the most part, because Lamar, shortly after this, would be taken out. So field goal there. Field goal there. Chiefs get the ball. They go 10 plays, 39 yards, get into field goal range, kick a field goal. 30-13. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Baltimore gets the ball again. You're down 17. Are you going to make a response here? They go 3 and out. Oh, wait, they don't. They go for it on 4th down. And guess what? There's no Derrick Henry on 4th down. And Lamar just chucks it out of bounds, throws it away, turnover on downs. That's game. And by the way, after that 4th down stop by the Chiefs, after that turnover on downs by the Ravens offense, Lamar would check out the game, and that would be the end of his night. Chiefs, on a short field, score a touchdown, 37-13. Ravens getting humiliated. Cooper Rush comes on the field now, and they proceed to go pick up a first down, but then pick up a couple of first downs, but then they proceed to turn the ball over on downs because Cooper Rush throws the ball out of bounds on 4th down as well. Chiefs get the ball, they punt the football, it's already 37-13, the game's over, they don't care. Ravens score a touchdown because of a huge run from Justice Hill, who the hell cares? And the game ends right there, 37-20. So Baltimore got walloped, they got smacked. The Kansas City Chiefs, they took out the belt and proceeded to smoke this team. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. They proceeded to smoke this team. That's what we ended up having to see on Sunday. The sad part is, many of us expected to lose. However, we didn't expect to lose like that. Lamar on the day, 14-20, 147 yards, a touchdown, an interception, a passer rating of 86, and a QBR of 36. He also had a fumble, so he didn't play well. Cooper Rush also came in 9-13, 52 yards, didn't do much of anything. Meanwhile, Patrick Mahomes played perfect the way he always does against the Ravens. 25-37, 270 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, passer rating of 124.8, QBR of 73.4. The Ravens offense was able to get 166 rushing yards, but that's because of Justice Hill's 71-yard touchdown run. But other than that, Lamar had 6 carries for 48 yards, which he was doing well, and Derrick Henry had 8 carries for 42 yards. It just seemed Derrick Henry's averaged 5.3 yards per carry, and we didn't run the ball more. I don't understand what this team is doing. Zay Flowers had 74 receiving yards, Justice Hill with 41, Mark Andrews with 30, Rashad Bateman had 1 catch for 24 yards, 2 for 16 for Derrick Henry, 1 catch for Tyler Wallace, and D-Hop had no catches because the one great catch he made got taken away by a penalty. That's just how it is. Also, Lamar Jackson fumbled the ball, and that's ultimately what you got from that. Meanwhile, the Kansas City Chiefs actually were able to get over 100 yards rushing in this game, which is crazy because of the fact that they're really struggling with rushing. But for their receiving game, I have 83 receiving yards for Worthy. Kelsey had 48. Hollywood Brown had 38 and a touchdown. Juju had 36 and a touchdown. Pacheco had 13 for a touchdown. Thornton had 11 for a touchdown. I mean, they just smoked us. They just smoked us left and right. Defensively for the Chiefs, they got 3 sacks on Lamar. Defensively for us, we got 1 sack. I mean, and it was Tavius Robinson. By the way, shout out to Tavius Robinson. He got the sack, the only sack the defense got yesterday, and he made a great stop on 3rd down to stop them from scoring a touchdown on the opening drive. Tavius Robinson actually cares. That's a guy that actually went out there and played. Shout out to Tavius Robinson. He actually did his job. So with a game like this, where do you go from here? With a game like this, where do you go from here? Well, you advance. Well, you drop to 1-3, and your season is in jeopardy. It's not in jeopardy because you can't overcome a 1-3 start. It's in jeopardy because of this. I'm just gonna read you this tweet that I saw on Twitter from Mike Clay. So the Ravens lost Justin Madubuike, which, by the way, in case you didn't know, Justice Madubuike is out for the year with a neck injury, and I'm not going to say it's the case, but neck injuries are career-altering and potentially career-ending. So why did he say Justin? Nnamdi Madubuike. Why did he type Justin? It's Nnamdi. I just read that. I haven't called Nnamdi Justin since his rookie year. So yeah, Nnamdi Madubuike is out for the season. If you don't know this now, I'm telling you, Nnamdi Madubuike is out for the season with the neck injury. He's placed on IR. He's done for the year. And this could be career altering for Nnamdi, and it might be a career ending. We don't know. So Nnamdi Madubuike is gone. Darius Washington, we already knew he was gone before the season. Broderick Washington was also put on IR. Kyle Van Noy has been out for several weeks, and we don't know if he's going to play this week. Adisa Isaac is also out with that elbow injury. He is expected to return at some point. Travis Jones was out last week. That's great. He didn't play against the Chiefs. Jair Alexander hasn't really been ready to play at all. And now you got a situation where Roquan Smith is hurt. Marlon Humphrey's hurt. Both of those guys are expected to be out for a few weeks. Nate Wiggins is dealing with an elbow injury. And now Lamar Jackson is dealing with a hamstring injury. You can't do anything. You can't do anything with this, bro. You legit can't do anything with this. Everybody's hurt. And guess what, guys? You remember how I kept emphasizing that we need to focus on the now and win while we can? We need to take advantage of the situation we are currently in. And yet all those Ravens fans talk about, we have this open window. If we don't get it done this year, we can get it done next year. This whole thing, bro, this whole thing, I emphasized the last 2 years for this team to take advantage of the opportunity given to them to go win a championship. We dealt with 2020 and we dealt with 2021 and 2022 where everybody was on IR. We dealt with that. We had 2 years in which this team was as healthy as they could be at near 100%. 2023 when they were the number 1 seed, and last year this team was as healthy as they can be. I was screaming to this team, you have to take advantage of this and go win now because you're not guaranteed any success in the future. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. Oh, we have this great team. You think we're going to fall off a cliff? You think anything bad is going to happen to us? I'm not saying that, but you have to take advantage of the opportunities. I saw all those fans that were running their mouth talking about we have all this talent and we got Lamar and we got all this other stuff. We're going to be good for the next several years. We're going to be fine. And I said you can't predict the future. Things are going to happen. So while you're here now, take advantage of it. And when all of us were getting angry after the AFC Championship game loss, and after everyone was getting very frustrated and going after the team after the division round loss, we sat back and said, these years don't just come out, these moments, you don't get them that often. These opportunities to win the Super Bowl, they don't come around often. Every team has a Super Bowl window, and if you don't take advantage of it, guess what? It's over. Guys, it's over. The Super Bowl window is closed with this iteration of the Ravens. Your only hope is to make significant changes. It's time to retool and rebuild. You have to move on. This iteration of the Baltimore Ravens missed their window. You're not winning with this collective group of guys. And you're definitely not winning with this collective group of coaches. You have to mix things up. You've got to make significant changes. It's over. It doesn't matter what they do. They're going to get some of these players back because the only person that's really... You got like Ardarius Washington, who could come back, but I doubt it. Nnamdi Madubuike is done for the year, but most of the injuries we talked about, pretty much everyone except Nnamdi Madubuike is just dealing with minor injuries that's going to keep them out for a few weeks. But in terms of truly competing, even if you do get those guys back, with the way you've looked, with the way you've played, with the chaos that's been ensued in 4 games, how can anybody sit back and think they're going to win anything significant? They're done. They're going to beat up on weaker teams. They're going to find a way to make the playoffs if they can get healthy. If they continue to deal with the injury bug, they're done. They'll just miss the playoffs. But if they can stay healthy and get their guys back, they're good enough to make the playoffs. That's just it. So they're good enough to make the playoffs, but that's it. They won't beat the Bills in the postseason. They won't beat the Chiefs in the postseason. This team's chances to win with this iteration of players and coaches has come to an end. It's over. The sooner the Ravens realize that and accept it, the better off they'll be because they can finally start making those significant changes. But I don't know if the Ravens are ready to do that. I don't know what to tell you, man. Now, if you ask me, obviously, if I had the opportunity to make some changes with the Ravens, I would start with the coaching staff immediately. Hardball and Orr would be gone. I would look to try to put somebody else at that head coaching position. I know Chuck said he didn't want it, but Chuck Pagano is on this staff. I would look to have Chuck be the defense. I would look to have Chuck be the head coach, because he has experience as a head coach. He was the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts when they had Andrew Luck and went to the AFC Championship game back in 2014. So I know he can be successful with the unit. He's had successful seasons with the Colts, and was a pretty good head coach there. It's just Andrew Luck was always getting hurt because they didn't give him an offensive line to work with. But I know Chuck can do the job as a coach. So if we're going to put someone as an intern head coach, you go and put Chuck at that position. As for defensive coordinator, I have one or two things. You either go look for somebody that you can find. Honestly, I don't think many people, he's constant. I said it early and I brought up the idea. I'm not saying it has to happen, but I brought up the idea. I literally sat back and said, he's on ESPN constantly talking about how this defense is not playing tough and they're not physical, and he's constantly criticizing the defense. I know what he can do. We saw what he did here with the 06 defense. I know he still has that fire in him if someone's willing to give him a call. I talked about, go bring Rex Ryan here. You can bring Rex Ryan to whip these boys into shape because he's not going to take that crap. You put Rex Ryan back in the coaching room, maybe he'd whip these guys into shape. Because I don't think bringing in a young defensive coordinator is going to work in this situation. Not with these guys. You had a guy that it would have worked with Mike McDonald. You let him go to Seattle. Now they're having the time of their life on defense with that guy being there. So yeah, you've messed up that chance. So at this point, it feels like for these kids, these spoiled brats that play on the defense, these entitled brats that play on the defense, because if you've seen the reports, there was a report that came out about what happened in that locker room after the game. And of course, when players are injured, they're not really required to talk. But dude, Roquan Smith couldn't wait to get out of here. And that's not the first time Roquan Smith has just left immediately out of the locker room after a loss. That's your leader. Pouting again. Roquan Smith couldn't wait to leave the locker room. Marlon Humphrey got out that locker room quickly. And we got to say this right now, bro. We got to say this right now. Kyle Hamilton, you did hurt the fan base, bro. I forgive you. Because again, you're the best player on this defense and you actually care. And what you did yesterday was a perfect example of what we want to see the team do. Take accountability. He stood there and took accountability for his words and took accountability for the loss. That's what we want to see from a leader. Kyle Hamilton actually cares. We were hurt as a fan base that you sat back and responded to us criticizing you guys playing poorly and looking like the worst defense in the league. You responded by saying the Ravens fans can be a little spoiled. That did piss off a lot of people and rub a lot of fans the wrong way. He stood there after this humiliating loss. He stood there in that press conference and publicly apologized to the fan base for using that type of phrasing. He took full responsibility for how the defense is playing and talked about what we need to do to improve and what we need to get better at. He took accountability. That's all we ask from the players and the coaches, take accountability. He took accountability. Unlike Roquan Smith, who snuck out the door the way he does every loss. I know he's injured right now, so he doesn't have to talk to the media, but Roquan Smith has had a history of sneaking out the door after every loss. He's done this so much. Marlon Humphrey was probably sneaking out the locker room to go do his podcast. A lot of those players got out the locker room real quick. Shout out to Kyle Hamilton. And shout out to Rashad Bateman because he also talked to the media after the game and acted like a professional. So shout out to those guys. Those are just some of the few people that cared. You know? Just a few people that cared. And this isn't actually just putting Lamar under the aspect. Lamar was in the locker room still. He was just to himself. He didn't dress up quickly and leave. Lamar was still in the locker room. It's just the media couldn't talk to him because he was hurt. So I don't want to sit back and say, oh yeah, Lamar Jackson also ducked out of the... No, Lamar Jackson, once a player is hurt, they don't get to talk to the media. And Lamar was still in the locker room. The report said Lamar was in the locker room to himself after the game. And obviously they couldn't approach him because he's injured. So they can't talk to Lamar after the game. And that's why he wasn't in front of the podium. Because once a player gets injured, they don't speak to the media. Which is why, again, Roquan Smith and Marlon Humphrey are hurt. Makes sense why they ducked out. But they ducked out real quick. Lamar was hurt and he was still there. And it's not like he was getting checked on. Lamar was just sitting there in silence on his own. So that's a different aspect. But, yeah. Team is 1-3. They stink, and everybody's hurt. And depending on the severity of Lamar Jackson's hamstring injury, we may not see him play this week against the Texans. We may not see him play next week against the Rams. We may not see Lamar Jackson play until after the bye week, which, if that's the case, we are certainly going to be 1-5. Certainly going to be 1-5 if Lamar does not play. Cooper Rush is not helping you win a damn thing. Where's the support? With this defense playing that bad, where are you going to get... No, stop it, please. No. So, yeah. That's kind of been the overall aspect here. This is what they become. This is what they become. Everyone's checked out. That game, the way the players were on the sideline, everybody's checked out. Did you take a look at Kyle Van Noy's face as they were getting pummeled? He was embarrassed. He was disgusted. And Kyle Van Noy is someone that cares. He's an old man, but he cares. And he's one of your best pass rushers. That's how bad it is. That man is still playing well, but he should not be your best pass rusher. He cares. He's on the sideline. He can't do anything. He's hurt. And he's watching this defense get belted. And you can just tell it hurts him because we visibly saw his response when the Chiefs kept scoring. He was visibly hurt and disgusted. But he can't do anything about it because he can't play because he's hurt. You've got a group of people in this locker room that don't know how to play as a unit. They keep talking about how everybody has to get on the same page. We got to fix it. Everybody's trying to do their own thing. We got to work together as a group. They keep talking about the problems. They keep expressing there's issues, but nothing is being done to fix it. I think, like all of you have said, because y'all really said this to me, y'all really made sure to emphasize this to me during the stream yesterday and throughout Sunday Night Football. Y'all made sure to emphasize this. Many of y'all believe that the players have officially quit on this coaching staff. Many of y'all truly believe Lamar Jackson has given up on this coaching staff. And based on how the players acted yesterday, I might be inclined to agree with you. There's a high chance that Harbaugh has officially lost this locker room. There's a high chance this coaching staff has officially lost the locker room. I don't know if the players want to play for this coaching staff anymore. I don't know if they want to play for Harbaugh anymore. These guys are professionals, so you're never going to see these players actively show their frustration to the media or speak out and say, I want this guy fired. That's not going to happen. They're so rare. It's so rare moments that you actually get to hear a moment where it's like, oh, no, I want this guy fired. Or the coach sitting back and saying, I think this guy wants me gone. This is like, I'm thinking of like one of the rare moments you saw that. That was in Orlando with the Magic with Dwight Howard and Stan Van Gundy. Like, Stan thought Dwight wanted him gone, which I'm pretty sure Dwight did. And then the media's asking about it. Do you think he wants you gone? He's like, I'm for sure. No, I know for sure he wants me gone. I'm pretty sure he does. And the media's asking Van Gundy about this, and he's saying, oh, yeah, Dwight definitely wants me gone. And it gets so awkward because Dwight, as Stan Van Gundy is saying this actively, that he believes Dwight Howard wants him gone. Dwight walks up. It's so awkward, but I'm not here to talk about that. What I'm saying is, the players are never going to actively call out the coaches during the press conference. You're never going to see them call out the coaches. They're never going to say, I want this guy fired. I don't think you will ever hear that happen. That's just not what you do as a professional. But your body language shows it. Your mentality shows it. The way you guys go out there and play shows it. If you guys are looking like they're on the sideline and not even taking in anything the coaches are saying, there's a high chance you just do not believe in this coaching staff anymore. And I do believe Harbaugh has lost the players. I think he's lost the locker room, whether he chooses to believe it or not. He's lost them. Zachary Orr has probably lost that defense because nothing's going well. I think these coaches have lost these players. And these players don't want to play for these coaches anymore. It's either that or these players don't want to play with each other anymore. It's either the players don't want to play with each other anymore or they don't want to play for this coaching staff anymore. It's one or the other. Or maybe it's both. Maybe everyone's just sick of each other. And if you get to that point where everybody's sick of each other, you can't win like that. You're not a football team at that point. You're not connected. You're not united. You're done. Another thing to discuss here on the therapy session. John Harbaugh decided that he was going to throw offensive coordinator Todd Monken under the bus. I cannot believe he did this, bro. Again, this is the man showing his true colors and showing who are his allies, the people in his inner circle, the ones that are under him, and those who aren't necessarily his guys. I will say this once again. Todd Monken is not a hardball guy. Hardball did not choose Todd Monken. He didn't. Greg Roman was a hardball guy. That was Harball's guy. Todd Monken is not Harball's guy. So since Todd Monken is not Harball's guy, John Harbaugh is going to be free to throw him under the bus and criticize every aspect of what he did. But when it comes to someone like Zachary Orr, when it comes to somebody that's a player that he formerly coached, that he has a good relationship with, that is under his wing, oh, Harbaugh's going to protect him like it's his own child. Harbaugh never, this defense is ranked nearly dead last in every statistic, yet he's never publicly blasted the defense or blasted Zachary Orr's coaching style the way he did with Todd Monken this year. Not this year, this week. What he said about Todd Monken today, if I'm Todd Monken, I'm going to be pissed off. It's one of those moments, bro. It's like, okay, this is one of those moments where, what was it? Anyone remember the story? Because I've definitely seen the video. Anyone remember the story of the 93 or 94 Houston Oilers, where the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator actively hated each other? Because the defensive coordinator hated the offensive coordinator because the offensive coordinator had this the gun and chuck offense where they were scoring too fast and it was wearing down the defense. And the offensive coordinator hated the defensive coordinator because his defense was so damn aggressive with his offense during practice, and he hated it. The offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator hated each other. It got to the point where at one point, I think the defensive coordinator got sick of what the offensive coordinator was doing, and he went up to him and he threw a punch during the game. Go look at the story about the 1994 Houston Oilers. Bro, the defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator hated each other. What John Harbaugh did this week, what he did today, I would not blame Todd Monken if he went and punched John Harbaugh. The league in scoring. They're nearly top 10 in damn near every offensive statistic. And yet John Harbaugh had the nerve to call me out? Oh, nah, bro. We out here thinking something different, bro. We got to be out here thinking something different. There is no way you're going to call me out. Your defensive coordinator has our defense ranked at the bottom of the league, damn near dead last. But you got the nerve to call me out? After my offense failed to show up for the first time this season. An offense that scored 40 points in week 1, 34 points in week, 40 points in week 1, 33 points in week 2, 30 points in week 3, and then this week they played terrible. My offense is damn near top 5 or top 10 in every offensive statistic, and you call me out like that to the media. But that defensive coordinator is dead last in damn near everything, and you don't call him out the same way. If I'm Todd Monken, I would go up. Oh my goodness, if I was Todd Monken, I'd punch John Harbaugh in the face for that press conference. That might be enough to make me resign. Let's see you try to figure out this offense without me, since I'm the problem. Your defense stinks. My offense is at the top of the league. But I'm the issue? Okay. All right. Bet. If I'm Tom Monken, I would sock John Harbaugh right in the face. Or better yet, I would go to the owner and the GM and say, Harbaugh called me out, I'm resigning. His defense is playing like that, not giving our offense a chance to win. He doesn't call them out publicly. My offense has one bad performance. He calls me out publicly and thrashes me like that? Oh, nah, get me off this team. Let's see what happens with me gone. Let's see what happens. Let's see how this offense looks without me, sir, since I'm the problem. Your defense stinks, but I'm the issue. Your defense is terrible, and your defense has cost us games. Yet I'm the problem. I'm the issue. I should be the one that gets heavily criticized because my offense failed to show up one time. Really? You know what? Cool. If I'm Todd Monken, I threaten to resign. I would go to Eric DeCosta and Steve Bisciotti and threaten to resign. I ain't even kidding. I would threaten to resign. This ain't even funny right now. I would threaten to resign. If I'm Todd Monken, I would threaten to resign. How dare you call me out when your defense stinks? Nah. I'm actually going to read this to you guys because I want to let you know this is what John Harbaugh had to say. He blasted the Ravens' offensive approach and play calling in that game. Okay, John Harbaugh on Lamar Jackson's interception. It wasn't a good play call. It wasn't a play where we put our guys in the right position in that situation. I'm not happy with it at all. None of us are. They ran a double backer blitz inside where they were right in Lamar's face. We had downfield routes with no checkdowns. That kills your drive and you're moving the ball right down the field. So no, I don't like the play call at all. On the 4th down attempt, you're going to be aggressive. You're going to go for it. You go for it and you don't have a good plan. You just don't. You don't have a good plan. We didn't do a good job at all, and we all know it. We agree with that. We came up short. We didn't put our players in the position we needed to put them in to execute and convert on 3rd and short and 4th and short. Those are just like turnovers. They're no different than turnovers because you put your defense on a short field. We just got to own all that. It's bad ball. Harbaugh on if they were prepared for the Chiefs' blitzes. I don't think our approach was good. We didn't stick to the plan we had. We had an idea of how we wanted to approach their defense, and we didn't stick to it. And I'm not happy about it, and neither is anybody. None of our coaches are happy about it, especially, I'm talking about the coaches right now. That was us. It was not a good job. John Harbaugh on if Patrick Ricard's absence is having an impact. That's not really the issue of it. It's much deeper than that. If you're saying we didn't run the ball because we didn't have Pat Ricard, the answer is that's not why. Yeah, we should be running the ball on a number of those. Or have some more creative passes than just drop back passes in those situations. And last but not least, on the predictability of the offense when Derrick Henry comes off the field telegraphing it'll be a pass. You're going to do what players do well. That's important. But you're also going to change it up so it's not just predictable. Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious right now? Now, I want to say this. John Harbaugh is not technically wrong with all the issues that happened in that game. He pointed out all the issues, all the problems, all the issues that we had in that game. He pointed out to the T. He called it like it is. He actually held somebody accountable for not doing a good job. So on one hand, you got to sit back and say he's on the money with that aspect. That's exactly what caused the offense's downfall. They weren't good in executing offensively. They weren't. Their 4th down game plan, the play calls for the 4th down were atrocious. On the interception, he's right. Where's the short passing game? He was 100% right. He was 100% right with every aspect that he pointed to in regards to the issues with the offense that day. I just have a problem with him doing this for the offense, but he doesn't do this for the defense. Why isn't he calling out the issues offensively? Why are you not calling out your defensive coordinator for having edge rushers back up into coverage and guard tight ends and wide receivers? Why aren't you calling that out? Why aren't you calling out the fact that you have Marlon Humphrey playing inside? You have Marlon Humphrey out of position in some of these moments. You've got some of these players out of position in the weirdest of ways. And the play call is not working at all. Why aren't you calling out your defensive coordinator the same way you did with your offensive coordinator today? Why aren't you blasting him? Where was this last week when the defense gave up 295 plus yard touchdown drives? Where was this accountability being held for your defensive coordinator? You had all this smoke for Todd Monken, yet you didn't have the smoke for Zachary Orr? Really now? You had all the smoke for Todd Monken for this performance, but none of the smoke for Zachary Orr's defense that gave up 295 plus yard touchdown drives against Detroit. They can't stop the run. They can't put pressure on the quarterback. They can't even touch the quarterback. They can't cover the pass. They can't tackle. Why didn't you hold the defense accountable for that last week? Why didn't you hold the defense accountable for their awful performance when they choked a 15-point lead? Why didn't you hold Zachary Orr accountable for those things happening on his watch? This is a prime example of John Harbaugh throwing someone under the bus. It takes a moment like this for him to showcase some level of accountability or hold somebody to accountable, because he didn't take it. Notice how he focused specifically on the offense. He made sure he scapegoated and threw Todd Monken under the bus because he took no accountability. Where was the accountability for John Harbaugh? Where was the accountability for John Harbaugh? Please, anyone that watched the press conference, did you see John Harbaugh showcase any accountability? Because I didn't. Did he take accountability for the players' performances yesterday? Did he take an accountability? Because he kept talking about the play calling and the issues. Dude, you're the head coach. You're talking about this issue with no short passing game. You're the freaking head coach, you moron. You have a headset. Can you not call up to Todd Monken and say, dude, they're blitzing right now. Dial up the short passing game. On 4th down, we need Derrick Henry out here. As the head coach, can you not make those decisions? You were so quick to hold Todd Monken accountable. Yet, you as a head coach did nothing. You saw all of this happening and you did nothing to at least address it. Did you not talk to Todd Monken at halftime and say, hey, offensively, we got to switch it up. We got to run the ball more. We got to utilize the short passing game more. We got to do all of this. Really? Really? So you're the head coach and you don't even talk to your coordinators during the game? So what do you really do? Because you're terrible at clock management. Your decision making is poor too. You're the head coach and you threw Todd Monken under the bus. Why didn't you do your job as a head coach? Why didn't you talk to him? If you had an issue with the play calling, why didn't you speak to him at halftime? Was he not in the locker room? Why didn't you speak to your offensive coordinator at halftime if you didn't like what you were seeing? Why didn't you call up to him and say, look, the play calling right now is unacceptable. We keep trying to run these long developing routes. They're blitzing us. It's not working. We don't have the protection for that. Let's switch to more of a short passing game. Dink and dunk. Let's get that going. Let's move the ball down the field methodically. Why didn't you talk to your offensive coordinator? Why didn't you, as the head coach, address these issues and work to fix it? Because you don't do anything as a head coach. You sit back and you let your coordinators do whatever you want. And for the people that are your puppets and the people that are in your inner circle and the people that you believe in, the guys that are your guys, you defend them to the ends of the earth. But the guys that aren't your guys, that aren't your picks, you throw them under the bus. Wink Martindale wasn't one of his guys. You saw how he threw him under the bus? And you saw how Wink Martindale got fired for something that wasn't his fault. Wink Martindale got fired after the 2021 season for something that wasn't his fault. The team had everybody on IR. Of course they can't maintain a lead. The team stinks. What did we end up seeing? Wink Martindale got fired. Greg Roman remained. The offense was terrible in 2021. It was the worst it's ever been in the Lamar Jackson era. The offense sucked in 2021. The defense couldn't do anything late in games in 2021. Yet, for some reason, Wink was the only one to go. And Greg Roman stayed for yet another year. That's because Greg Roman is a hardball guy. Wink Martindale wasn't. You really notice how slick Harbaugh is, right? If it's his guy, he'll go to the ends of the earth to defend him. But if it's not his guy, he'll throw him under the bus and hold him accountable without holding himself accountable. He doesn't do anything to change or affect the game. He stands on the sideline like a moron and does a poor job of managing the game. He does a poor job of making decisions in the game. He's a poor clock manager. That time management situation for Baltimore is trash. Execution late game situation is trash. All this is happening on his watch. He doesn't do anything well as a head coach. And at this point, I don't even think his leadership skills are showing because nobody's being motivated on this team right now. But he purposely designs it this way. Because if the defense stinks or the offense stinks, well, he has nothing to do with the offense or defense. I can blame the coordinators. If you're too hard on his guy, I'll defend him to the ends of the earth. If it's not my guy, I'll throw him under the bus. Harbaugh's showing his true colors once again. And you think you're going to win with this guy. You're not, but the team's not interested in winning. Steve doesn't give a damn about winning, like I told you. He only cares about making money. That's why I implored to the Ravens fans, do you actually want to see change? I'm tired of y'all yapping on Twitter. I've seen some fans already decide to hand that back. They said, I don't want it, I'm not going. You want to really make a change, Ravens fans? You want to make a serious change that's going to get the attention of the owner? Affect his wallet. Stop coming to the games. Stop coming to the games. If Lamar is not playing against the Texans, that should be an empty stadium. And even if Lamar is playing, that should be a near empty stadium. When the fans decide to turn their backs on this organization until changes are made, and they showcase that by not going to the games, that owner upstairs is going to wake up and he's going to respond. Why will he respond? Because his money is going to be affected. His business is going to be affected. He's going to lose millions of dollars. Millions of dollars if fans just decide to not show up to the game. But the problem is, fans don't, there's plenty of fans that just don't care and just want to go to a football game. If the team stinks, so be it. They'll still go. And plenty of these individuals have season tickets. They spent money on that. They're not going to let it go to waste. If you don't go to these home games, and you actually stay away and ask for change, the owner will actually hear. Because you guys going to the game and chanting fire Harbaugh, which I'm sure that's going to start to happen. It's only a matter of time before the fire Harbaugh chants are going to happen, or fire Zachary Orr's going to chants are going to happen at the bank. If you don't go to the games, I promise you Steve will listen, because his wallet will be affected. If Ravens flock as a whole came together and said, we're not going to the game until you get rid of Harbaugh and Zachary Orr and make significant changes, and you stop coming to the games, I promise you John Harbaugh will not be the head coach for much longer. And I promise you Zachary Orr will have to pack his bags. If the Ravens flock was serious about this, they would stop going to the games. But I don't think this fan base is serious enough to just miss games. They're not. There's way too many fans that will still go watch this team. The stadium will still be full. They'll stay there, and it ain't going to change. But I'm just saying, you can go to the games, you can rock. You can go to the games, and you can rock it, and you can watch it and cheer for the team. But understand that if you're somebody that wants significant changes to happen, you being at the stadium is not going to allow that to happen. Because what you guys got to understand is any changes that are made in regards to this coaching staff, especially with Harbaugh, that's an upstairs thing. That's mostly Steve. Steve is the one that has all the power. Steve has all the power. Steve has all the power. If Steve said, I'm getting rid of Harbaugh, Harbaugh's gone. Simple as that. Simple as that. Simple as that. If you seriously want change, don't go to the games. And Steve will listen. And changes will happen. But again, I know no one's going to do that, so it doesn't matter. If you want change to happen, you have to take action. But are the fans going to take action? No. So continue to accept the reality of the situation. Because guys, again, I'm just throwing it out there. If fans are truly serious about this, they're going to choose to not go to the games. You can support the Ravens right from your television. You ain't got to go watch them. You can support the Baltimore Ravens right in the comfort of your home. You can watch them on television. You ain't got to go to the games. Now, I'm just saying, that's the best way. Some of y'all got to understand, in order for things to change, actions have to be made. I don't agree with some of the methods some of the fans chose to go at it. But y'all remember the whole thing with the whole fire Greg Roman. I still don't know if that was a fan thing or if that players posted it or if that was a conspiracy. I'm telling you right now, I don't know. I do not know if it was a conspiracy or a fan really got into the facility. But y'all remember the whole situation with Greg Roman when the players apparently walked into the facility and there was papers on the floor showcasing fire Greg Roman. The fans got vitriol. Very angry. They were vitriol towards this guy until he was gone. If the fans don't take action, ain't nothing gonna change. Ain't nothing gonna change. So for those of you that are asking for changes, showcase that you mean it. don't go to the games and Steve will listen. Because when his wallet's affected, he'll be forced to make changes. Simple as that. But I know you guys aren't going to do that, so it is what it is. Like I said, for me personally, I've accepted that this is what the Ravens are. I'm tired of talking about them firing this guy or firing that guy. The Ravens are going to do whatever they want. It is what it is. I'll be here to watch next week and support this team against the Texans, and I'll be here for every game this season to support the team. But I already accept the reality that this team stinks. They're trash. It don't really change anything. Like this team, even if they make the playoffs, they're not beating the Bills, they're not beating the Chiefs, they're not going on to win the Super Bowl. They can't play, they don't even look like a football team right now. They can't play competent football for 60 minutes. What makes you think they're going to win 3 straight games to go win the championship? Actually, in their case, 4 straight games because the 1 seed's out of the way. You have to win 4 straight games. Wild card, divisional, AFC championship game, and Super Bowl. This team can't even play competent for 60 minutes of football. What makes you think they can win 4 games to go win? Hell, what makes you think they can beat the Bills or Chiefs? Because I've told you this. When it comes to execution in late game situations, the Chiefs are the best at that, and we will never match up to them. And the Bills, they're better than that. They're better than us when it comes to that. They're absolute in late game execution. The Buffalo Bills are better. They are better than us in that. And that's why they will continue to beat us in the biggest moments. That's just how it is. That's how it goes, guys. That's how it goes. Ronnie Stanley's also hurt, in case you guys needed to have that be emphasized. And I don't know if he's going to miss time or anything like that. But yeah, Ronnie Stanley's hurt. But yeah, I mean, you're heading into a week where everything is uncertain. A lot of you guys, what's going on, Sam? A lot of your guys are not going to be playing on Sunday against the Texans. Your starting quarterback, your franchise quarterback, the face of the franchise. Not playing, potentially. I don't even think we'll see Lamar at practice tomorrow. I mean, not on the field. He may be in the facility, but he's certainly not practicing. I don't know if Lamar's going to play this week. And if Cooper Rush is out there, you have no chance to beat. Like, nobody's believing with the way this defense is playing and everybody decimated, you're not winning. Not winning. You're not winning, dude. You're not. So, yeah, that's the reality, guys. That's the reality. I think you guys and all of us as a fan base need to come to terms with what the team is. They're not a good football team. In fact, I made a video about this and said it. The Baltimore Ravens are not a football team. They are a collective group of talented individuals that have no idea how to play as a unit. They don't know how to play together. They don't. And from what we've been seeing recently, these guys, I don't know if it's a situation where they're not on the same page, where they don't want to be around each other, but it's starting to show on the field. And I think it's also starting to show that these players have given up on the coaches. They'll never say it publicly. They'll take responsibility and be professionals because that's what you're supposed to do in this sport. But there's a good chance that these guys have given up on this coaching staff. And there's an even bigger chance that Lamar has given up on this coaching staff. And that kind of leads me to my last aspect of this therapy session, the Lamar Jackson talk. Guys, this is never fun. This is never fun to discuss. It's never fun. Is the face of our franchise, the best player on the team. He's a 2-time MVP and a future first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. He's the best quarterback from a talent perspective, from a skill set perspective. We know what he brings to the table. Obviously, we want that Super Bowl to solidify him by far as the best quarterback, you know. But this is the guy, and we know that. He is that guy. And I also understand that Lamar takes an overwhelming amount of criticism. And a lot of that criticism is fully unwarranted, and it's not even his fault when it comes to the circumstance and situation. And it hurts and annoys a lot of people in the fan base when Lamar is getting blamed for things that aren't his fault. When he's getting blamed for things that are out of control, that are out of his control. People are getting tired of watching Lamar get blamed for every idiotic mistake that this team does or every poor performance the defense does. We blow a lead to the Chiefs, not Chiefs, we blow a lead to the Bills. The defense stinks the entire game, gives up 41 points, and Derrick Henry fumbles. And the storyline people took away from that game is Lamar can't win the big one, or he can't win big games and big moments. We lose to the Chiefs, and everyone says Lamar's fault only. and no one else looks anywhere else. Every time the Ravens lose, they don't talk about the team's performance as a whole. They talk about Lamar Jackson and say it's his fault. The media blames him. Fans from other teams blame him. He gets an overwhelming amount of unnecessary blame for things that aren't his fault or things that he can't control. And that's just the discourse of sports nowadays, which is why sports discourse is so garbage and it's just terrible. It's horrible. So I understand why. Because he's getting this amount of stuff, because he's getting this amount of unnecessary blame, we as a fan base and his angels, because Lamar has angels and fans that will defend him to the world, all of them will 100% go to bat and defend Lamar because he gets blamed for everything. And they never hold anyone else accountable on this team. And it's annoying. So I understand why everybody in his fan base 100% feels the need to constantly defend Lamar for everything, no matter the circumstance. And I understand it. But guys, we have to be honest about everything. My channel name is my channel name. When I started this whole thing, I literally sat back and said, to myself, I am going to be honest, objective, and fair with everything. There's going to be plenty of takes that I know people are not going to agree with. And there's going to be topics that I'm going to be discussing that I know people are not going to be happy with. They're going to disagree with it. They're not going to like what I have to say. But it is my job to keep it real, even though this isn't a job, but it is my job to keep it real and be 100% honest about everybody because I always think about the team. One person doesn't win by himself. You win as a team, you lose as a team. And when you win, everybody gets the credit. When you lose, everybody gets the blame. That is how I've always been when it comes to sports. That's how I've always been when I've judged the Ravens. It's how I've been when I've judged the Miami Heat. It's how I've been when I've judged Liverpool. It's how I've been when I've judged the Dodgers. I don't blame one person. I hold everybody accountable. I have to say this because every time I speak on Lamar Jackson and show any level of criticism about him, there's a wave of fans that will come, get pissed off, call me a fake fan or a bandwagoner, and say I'm being too harsh on Lamar. Lamar is everything to this franchise. We know he's a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback. He's a two-time MVP, like I said. We all love him. But we cannot sit back and pretend that Lamar has played perfect in every one of these situations, in every one of these scenarios. And we cannot sit back and pretend that Lamar Jackson does not hold some level of blame for some of these moments. And we cannot pretend that Lamar should never get criticized for some of his mistakes and some of his problems and issues. That's just not fair. And I always have to emphasize this because once I get going on Lamar, I know how everyone wants to act. So I have to emphasize this because it is my job to keep it real and be fair and objective with everybody on the team. And that includes Lamar Jackson. These are some of the takes you don't want to hear because everything else is collapsing, but it is part of the issue. So, let's get into it. Lamar Jackson is far from ever being the problem when it comes to the Ravens. He's one of the last people on the list when it comes to criticism and who's to blame when the team loses. He's usually, most of the time, 95% of the time, he is one of the main people at the bottom of that list. Most games we've choked and blown, Lamar hasn't done anything wrong. Like the Dolphins game, it wasn't on him. Like the Bills game, it wasn't on him. It's the last person I'll look to blame. He's the last person I'll throw criticism at. But that doesn't mean he doesn't get criticism for some of the things he can do. In terms of this game against Kansas City, we cannot sit back and pretend that Lamar does not play a factor in this loss. Lamar Jackson turned the ball over twice. Those 2 turnovers led to 10 points for the Chiefs. Does that not play a role as to why we were down in the first half? Lamar threw an interception, his first of the season, and the Chiefs responded by scoring a field goal. Lamar fumbled the ball, and the Chiefs responded by scoring a touchdown. That's 10 points that was gained from Lamar Jackson turning the ball over. He deserves some criticism for that. Lamar Jackson did not play a good football game yesterday. He was bad. He was bad. Simple as that. He did not play well. And for pretty much pretty much for the entire season, Lamar has played fantastic. But against Kansas City, he was terrible. And here's the thing you have to understand about Lamar Jackson when it comes to the Chiefs. Lamar Jackson has never really played well against the Chiefs. He's had his moments, but Lamar has never really played well against the Kansas City Chiefs. I've talked about this. Every time the Ravens face off against the Chiefs, Mahomes cooks our defense. No matter what you throw out there, Mahomes cooks our defense every single time. Every time we play the Chiefs, John Harbaugh gets outcoached by Andy Reid. Every time we play the Chiefs, Spags runs the same defense, and our offensive coordinator never makes the adjustments, or he does make the adjustments, but immediately runs away from the game plan for the rest of the game. We'll see something that works, and we'll proceed to stop doing it for the rest of the game. That's what we always do against Kansas City. But there's one last thing that has to be spoken of. Every time we face off against Kansas City, Lamar turns the ball over. And that plays a factor into us losing some of these games, because Lamar is turning the ball over against Kansas City. Right now, I honestly think when it comes to Kansas City, not only do they have Lamar and the Ravens' number, but it feels like there's a mental thing with Lamar Jackson right now when it comes to Kansas City. I legitimately think there's a mental thing with Lamar Jackson when it comes to Kansas City. And maybe this is a thing where the mental issue comes from the fact that he knows what's going to happen to him every time he plays against Kansas City. So it always, as soon as these things start to happen in reality, he breaks down. But I think Lamar right now, there's a mental thing when it comes to facing off against Kansas City. I don't think Lamar believes he can beat this Chiefs team. He may say it out loud, but I don't think Lamar believes he can beat this Chiefs team. Now, the reasoning behind it, and this is where you can look at the team, is because every time we play the Chiefs, it's the exact same thing. Lamar is watching his defense get cooked by Mahomes, and then every time he steps foot on the field, Spags blitz the hell out of him. They send a 5 or a 6-man blitz, and we never have answers to it. And then Lamar feels like he has to be Superman in order to help us because the offensive line's not blocking, the play call's not adjusting to the blitz. There's no help there, and Lamar has to make a play. So what does he do? He does what he always tried to do against Kansas City, save the team, try to make a play, and it results in turnovers because Lamar can't do it on his own. But there's another thing with Lamar Jackson that, again, you can say whatever you want, and you can feel however you want when I say this. But there's another thing with Lamar Jackson. He's an emotional guy. Lamar is an emotional guy. He wears his emotion on his sleeves. That is fine. That is okay. If you take a look at the greats wear their emotions on their sleeves. When things aren't going well for Mahomes, you'll see it on his face. He will wear his emotions on his sleeve. You'll see him spazzing on the sideline. Peyton Manning did it all the time. Tom Brady did it all the time. We've seen it. Aaron Rodgers used to do it all the time in Green Bay. We've seen this with great quarterbacks. They all wear their emotions on their sleeves because they're all perfectionists. They don't want to make mistakes, and they don't want to see things not go their way offensively. So they're going to show their emotions on the sideline. But here's the thing with Lamar. Every time he starts showcasing his anger and emotion, he snaps. And once he snaps, that's game. We never get to really see Lamar Jackson reel himself in. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to show your emotions. Tom Brady did it all the time. But Tom Brady knew, despite the anger and the frustration he's showcasing, he knows how to reel himself back into the game. He knows how to reel himself back into the game. And I think right now with Lamar Jackson, I think once he gets angry to a point, he snaps. Now, I want to point this out here. I don't think it's a situation where he gets a little frustrated and that's it. Because no, I think there's been plenty of times where I've seen Lamar be frustrated and he reels himself back in. The best scenario and the best situation in which I watched Lamar Jackson show a little frustration and reel himself back in was last year in the playoff game against Buffalo. Lamar turned the ball over twice in that playoff game. He turned the ball over twice in that playoff game. He showcased a little frustration early on in the first half. But guess what? He reeled himself back in. He really reeled himself back in. And Lamar Jackson was calm after those 2 turnovers. Came back in the second half and played amazing. And when Mark Andrews played the way he played, there was no level of frustration on him. So we've seen him reel himself back in when he showcased frustration. But what I'm talking about here is showcasing a high level of anger. Last year, I don't think he ever got to that point where he was so angry that he snapped. When we see Lamar snaps, it's over. Yesterday, he snapped. There's been moments where Lamar Jackson has been frustrated, and we're seeing it now. As an older, mature Lamar Jackson, nowadays, when he gets a little frustrated, he can still reel himself back in. But the one thing that he's yet to break habit-wise is when he gets so angry and frustrated that he snaps, he's never able to fully lock back in. He's never able to fully lock back in. And you saw it yesterday when he snapped. Once Lamar snapped, I knew he was out of the game. I knew he was lost. When I saw Lamar Jackson snap, it was over. Once he snapped, it was over. Because he immediately checked out the game. And we know the reasons why he's snapping. It's because his offensive line's not protecting him. It's because the play calling's not where it needs to be. It's because he keeps facing off against the same blitz every single time against Spags, and we're not helping him. We're not doing our job protecting. We're not creating short passing games for him to throw to, and we're expecting him to be Superman and find a way to dodge 5 guys. At some point, that's going to get to you mentally. And once you snap, it's over. So once Lamar snaps, it's over. And he so far has been unable to reel himself in once he snaps. The maturity of Lamar Jackson is when he gets frustrated in the past, he would check out the game. Lamar nowadays, when he gets frustrated in the game, he can reel himself back in. When he gets frustrated in the game, he can reel himself back in. We've seen that, especially over the last 2 years. When Lamar Jackson gets frustrated, he can reel himself back in. But once he snaps, it's over. He has yet to get that part in. And I think with Kansas City specifically, it feels like a mental thing. With everybody else, win or lose, it doesn't feel like that. Because even though we lost to Buffalo and choked that game away, I didn't see a moment where Lamar snapped in that game. We just choked the game away. Even when we were getting blown out by Detroit, I didn't see that moment from Lamar when he snapped. He was just frustrated by how the game was going. And he still played well in this game. But once Lamar snaps, his play, you start to see it in his play. So it's that mental aspect of once Lamar snaps, it is over. Once Lamar snaps, it's done. Once he snaps, it's over. And it's that mental aspect of Lamar that he himself has to start reeling it in his damn self. That is something he specifically has to do. Because even though the game isn't going well, you got to reel yourself back in. He does that. He can reel himself back in nowadays when he's frustrated. But once he snaps, he completely gives up at that point. Like mentally, he checks out. Because he's like, you're not going to help me? All right, I can't do it by myself. You're not going to protect me. We're not running plays that are favorable for us to take advantage of this matchup. And nobody can get open. And you're just going to leave me out here to die? Fine, I'm done. Once he snaps like that, the game's over. And I pointed that out in the stream yesterday when he snapped. I knew the game was over at that point. I knew it. I knew it. I could have turned off the TV after that. I knew it. So I think right now for Lamar, in this aspect, with Kansas City specifically, it's a mental thing. They're in his head because he knows what's going to happen every single time against Kansas City, and it's the same thing that happens every single time. And they get him to a point where he snaps because nobody else is doing their job to protect him, and it gets to a point where he's done. And once Lamar snaps, he cannot reel himself back in. Now, I've seen Brady snap a few times. I've seen Brady snap quite the amount of times, but he still finds a way to reel himself back in. Lamar has learned to reel himself back in after showing those early frustrations. What he has not learned is how to reel himself in once he snaps. Because once he snaps, he's out of the game. He has to reel himself back in. And that's the next thing. If he can find a way to do that against Kansas City, he himself is going to be fine. It doesn't guarantee we're going to win, but at least you'll watch the game and say, Lamar's not going to turn the ball over. He's not going to make those mistakes. If he can reel himself back in when he snaps, he's going to be fine. And I think that's one aspect of Lamar that he himself has to do. Another aspect is him as a leader and being more vocal. And I said this yesterday. Lamar, if this is happening, if everything right now is frustrating you, it's time to speak up. You talked about being a more vocal leader. Now is the time to speak on this, dude. You talked about being a more vocal leader. Well, leader, it's time to speak up. You're the face of the franchise. You're the leader of this team. It's time to speak up, sir. If you don't like what you're seeing here, if you don't like everything that's happening here, it's time to speak up. Go into the front office, speak to the owner, speak to the GM, voice your frustrations. Voice your frustrations with everything that's happening. Voice your frustrations with everything that's happening and demand changes to be made. You voice your frustrations to EDC about how this offensive line is not protecting you. You voice your frustration that you have with the coaching staff. And hell, Lamar, if you got to have a private conversation with Todd Monken in regards to this, have a private conversation with Todd Monken and get this figured out, because we keep doing this against Kansas City every single time. Lamar, these things are happening in front of you. If you're so pissed off that the defense is not doing anything, speak to the players. Speak to those guys. Speak to the head coach. Speak to EDC. If your problem is with John Harbaugh, speak with the owners. Lamar, it's time to be more vocal. If you don't like what's happening, speak up. You have the power, my man. You have the power. If you don't like what you're seeing, speak up. Speak up. Speak up. If you don't like what you're seeing, Lamar, speak up. Go to the owner. Voice your frustrations. Talk to DaCosta. Voice your frustrations. And demand change. If change is not made, you don't sign that extension. That's what you need to do, Lamar. You have leverage. You are the face of this franchise. It's time to use that leverage and be vocal. As a leader, you need to speak. You need to speak. Owner doesn't care. Here's the thing, Matt. Our owner cares about making money. That's his focus. He don't care about winning a championship, but he cares about making money. You know who's making him the most amount of money? Lamar Jackson. If the guy that's making you all this money speaks out about his problems and says, if you don't get this fixed, I'm not signing that extension, I promise you, the owner is going to make changes because he's not going to risk losing. The amount of money he would lose if Lamar Jackson leaves. Do you know how much money Steve will lose out on if Lamar Jackson is gone from this team? That's too high of a risk for a businessman to take. That's too high for a businessman to take. If Lamar speaks to the owner about these problems and demands changes to be made, or he's not signing an extension, Steve's going to have no choice but to make changes because he can't afford to lose Lamar Jackson. Lamar is gone. The amount of money that he's going to lose, significant. He can't afford that. He can't afford to lose Lamar. He can't. The amount of money, they're constantly making upgrades to that stadium. You know how much that costs? They won't be able to make those upgrades if Lamar's not playing football for this team. The amount of money he's going to lose. So Lamar has to speak up and put the pressure on the owner and the GM to make changes. Lamar, if you are truly frustrated with everything that's happening, it's time to speak up. Speak to that defense. Call them out for playing like trash. Hold them accountable and demand for them to play better. Showcase those leadership skills. Lamar, if you're frustrated with the play calling, have a one-on-one talk with your offensive coordinator and say, dude, we have got to start implementing more screens. We need to start implementing more screens. We need to start utilizing more checkdowns on this offense. I know we're explosive. We're one of the most explosive offenses in the league. But when teams are blitzing us like this, we don't have answers because we don't have any short passing games. Speak to your coach one-on-one and demand changes to be made. If you personally have a problem with John Harbaugh and you no longer believe in him as a coach, go to the owner and demand changes. Go to the GM and demand changes. Use the leverage you have and tell them, if I don't get these changes, I'm not signing that extension. And I'll tell you this right now. They have to make it. Let me pull it up right now. Let me pull it up right now. Let me pull it up right now. I'm trying to see. Let me see Lamar Jackson's contract situation here. Lamar Jackson. Let's see. Lamar Jackson is set to make, right now this year, Lamar is making $43.5 million. Lamar Jackson is making $43.5 million right now. In 2025, Lamar Jackson is making $43.5 million. In 2026, that jumps to $74.5 million. The only way for that to work is, only way for them to figure this out and make that work is through a contract extension. The reason why the Ravens are definitely on the clock to get a contract extension done is because when you can get an extension, you can stretch out the money through years and help lower your cap significantly. Lamar is set to make $74.5 million next year if a contract extension is not given to him. $74.5 million is what Lamar is set to make. So they need to get this contract extension done. And I'm telling you right now, this situation, contract extension-wise, is 1,000 times more different than when it was prior to his previous contract. Because at least when they were trying to get his contract extension, done last time, Lamar Jackson had one MVP that he won in 2019, and he was coming off of back-to-back seasons where he was injured. Since his contract, he's won another MVP, went to the AFC Championship game for the first time. He had another historical year last year, one of the greatest quarterback seasons of all time, and he's been playing at a high level since he's got the contract. Lamar Jackson has been better as a quarterback, significantly better as a quarterback since he's got his contract. So the Ravens are on the clock to get that extension. Obviously, you don't want to have one player making $74 million. I don't care who the player is. You don't want them to be making $74 million for 1 year. So the contract extension is going to happen. That's how it is for all teams. So they're going to have to give him an extension. But if you're Lamar, why would you sign an extension when the state of the team is like this? If Lamar is not happy with everything that is happening here, now is the time to speak up. Put the pressure on your owner and GM and demand the changes that you want to be made to be made. If these changes aren't made, you're not signing an extension in the offseason. And they'll have to make you pay. They'll have to make you. They'll have to either make the changes or pay you that much. Real talk, Lamar is making too much money to not have mastered short throws by now. Again, part of that has to deal with play calling. That's what you're missing, sir. Part of that has to deal with play calling. Part of that has to deal with play calling. If there's no short throws being presented in the offense, it's not like you can just y'all need to stop treating everything like Madden. You can't always just check down to if the play call, there's a limited amount of things you can do when you are changing the plays and calling audibles at the line of scrimmage. You can't change to any play you want. That's not how it works with audibles. There are certain things that you can change within the original play call. There's certain things that you can switch up within the original play call. That's what it means to make adjustments in audibles. But if there's nothing in that play call that allows you to audible into a short pass game, what are you supposed to do? So you're talking about this whole short throws. He's not mastering short throws. Go look at the numbers when Lamar has checked the ball down and thrown short throws. He doesn't have a problem throwing the ball short. We just don't have an offense that utilizes the short passing game. It's the same thing we were seeing a few years back with Josh Allen's offense. That's where the turnovers were coming from with Josh Allen. Why do you think things changed last year from when he won MVP? They were saying Josh Allen don't know how to throw short passes. All they do is throw it deep to Stephon Diggs. They don't have any short passing game. That's why all these turnovers are happening. You got Josh Allen yeeting the ball down the field. What did he do last year? They switched up the offense. They made it a more of a short passing game for the Buffalo Bills. They started checking it down more. Josh Allen finally has checkdowns to throw to, so he's utilizing the short passing game. They're relying on their offensive line. They're relying on the run game, and Josh Allen is chucking the ball down the field less and taking the checkdowns more. That's why he's become a much more efficient quarterback, because he's not taking those risks to chuck the ball down the field. It's him finally having an offensive coordinator that is utilizing the short passing game, and Josh Allen is thriving in that. We don't have that in our offense, because Todd Monken doesn't want to utilize the short passing game. And we have been saying for years, you have to do that. And even though this Ravens offense is explosive, you're not going to win every week by just being explosive every single time. If you don't have a short passing game, it is going to affect you. So the offensive coordinator needs to give Lamar opportunities to check the ball down. There needs to be more short passes in our offensive play calling, but we're not seeing it. Until that is there, what are we going to do? So, again, you can sit back and try to blame it on Lamar, but again, if there's nothing in the play calling, what can you do? And you're saying it's the coaches that haven't drilled it. Lamar doesn't have a problem. Are you listening, dude? Lamar does not have an issue with checking the ball down and throwing short passes. The issue is we don't have that in the game. You're saying they're not drilling it, the coaches that haven't drilled that. Are you saying the coaches haven't drilled that in him, or you're saying that the coaches haven't drilled that in the offensive scheme? What are you saying, Mons? And let me try to understand. Let me not misinterpret it. Are you saying the coaches haven't drilled the short passing game in Lamar, or they haven't drilled the short passing game in their offensive system? Because we never really checked the ball down, even in Greg Roman's system. So with Greg Roman and Todd Monken, we don't check the ball down. We don't have any short passing game. Are you trying to say it's Lamar that they haven't drilled it into, or they haven't implemented that into their system? Because we don't check the ball down in the offense. With Greg Roman or Todd Monken, we don't do that. So are you saying Lamar is the issue there? Or are you saying that the offense, they don't emphasize that in their offensive play calling? Which one are you trying to say? Lamar really disappointed me. Eventually he has to learn to overcome. Doug, this is a team game. How much can you put on one person to overcome if no one else is helping out? Is Lamar supposed to overcome an offensive line that can't block him? Is Lamar supposed to overcome the offensive play calling, not implementing short passing games when you're getting blitz, which is the only way you could deal with a blitz? Is Lamar supposed to overcome having the worst defense in the league when we saw Joe Burrow lead the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns with one of the worst defenses in the league and still miss the playoffs? How much can you ask Lamar to overcome when everything is problematic? Lamar has his issues, just like every quarterback in the league. But you cannot sit back and say he has to overcome when nobody else is doing anything. Can we please hold everybody accountable for what they're doing? How can you say Lamar has to overcome when the offensive line's not protecting him, when there's no answers? When there's no answers. when there is no answers to the blitz because they don't run short passing games. How can you expect this team to win when their defense is not doing anything? They can't tackle, they can't cover, they can't stop the run, they can't get to the quarterback. So he has to overcome his defense being one of the worst in the league. He has to overcome an offensive line that can't protect him. He has to overcome play calling that at times can be incompetent. If Joe Burrow couldn't overcome it with all the numbers he put up, how is Lamar supposed to overcome it? You're asking too much of these quarterbacks to overcome all this nonsense. How about everybody do their jobs? Tom Brady, don't put that Tom Brady aspect, bro. Do not tell me that Tom Brady aspect as if he had to overcome everything. As if he didn't have, I'm not even going to go into Tom Brady aspect. We know he's the greatest of all time, but we're not going to pretend that, or Patrick Mahomes. We're also, again, go back and look at those games. You're saying he has to overcome on his own. So the defense never did anything to help Patrick Mahomes. When Patrick Mahomes played terrible in the first half of Super Bowls and the defense locked in to help him get back into the game, does that not play a role? It's a team game, bro. It is a team game. It is a team game. Guys have to do their job. This is not one-on-one. You're not only playing one person out there. This isn't tennis. This isn't golf. This isn't boxing. It's not one person out there. It's a team game. Patrick Mahomes doesn't win the 3 Super Bowls he does if the defense doesn't lock in some of these moments. Does Patrick Mahomes beat the... I'm going to say this right now. Let me say this right now for you guys. Does Tom Brady beat the... in the Super Bowl against the Falcons, does Tom Brady beat the Falcons if the defense continues to give up all the points they were doing? I want to know. That comeback, that 28-3 comeback when they were getting stomped and the defense locked up in the second half. If the defense continued to play trash, does Tom Brady come back? No. The 2 Super Bowl wins Patrick Mahomes has against the San Francisco 49ers. Both of them he played bad in the first half and played great in the second half. Does Patrick Mahomes have those 2 rings against the San Francisco 49ers if the defense doesn't shut everything down in the second half for the most part? Does he have those rings? It's a team game, guys. It's a team game. You cannot rely on one person to solve the problems for everybody else. That's not how that works. This is a team game. Y'all are so... I hate sports discourse in this era. We just want to blame the quarterback and call it a day. We don't want to hold the... I'm telling you, bro. I would never want to be a quarterback in the league. I really wouldn't. I would love to be... I could be a wide receiver. I could be a defensive back. I would love to be on anybody that's not the quarterback. Because in this era of football, we just blame the quarterbacks and call it a day. Defense could be one of the worst in the league. It's the quarterback's fault. Defense could be one of the worst in the league. It's the quarterback's fault. Imagine that. You stink as a defense. Nobody's doing their job. And they'll blame the quarterback and I get to go scot-free? Woo! I love it. Zay Flowers fumbled the ball in the AFC Championship game and nobody held him accountable in the media. They just looked at Lamar. You gotta love this era if you're not a quarterback. Sports discourse is so stupid nowadays. It's so dumb. Because if you're a quarterback, you get blamed for everything. You get blamed and criticized for everything, but you get all the praise. I'd rather not be a quarterback because if I play like trash, my quarterback's going to take the blame, not me. Oh, you mean I dropped the ball 5 times and caused 2 interceptions because it got tipped off my hand, but I'm not going to get blamed for the loss? Bet. This is the discourse you guys like to follow. You just blame Lamar and just pretend no one else on the team is doing poorly. Oh, you mean I could be Marlon Humphrey and get beat every day? I can be Marlon Humphrey, get cooked by every receiver every week, and Lamar takes the blame for it? Sign me up! Matter of fact, I'll be on my podcast tomorrow, talk about how I had a rough day at the office. That's what y'all do nowadays. That's what y'all do nowadays, bro. That's what y'all do nowadays. Y'all don't want to talk about the team as a whole. You just come here and talk about the quarterback. You don't care about anything that's happening with the team. You just focus on the quarterback and pretend that he's to blame for everything or he deserves all the credit. That's the discourse you guys choose to follow nowadays. And not all of you in the chat. I'm just saying that's the discourse we have in this modern day era. Because back in the day, we used to talk about the teams. Coaching actually mattered back in the day. You know that, right? Like, coaches used to be held accountable when their teams come out not looking ready to play. You used to hold coaches accountable. Like, legitimately, you used to hold coaches accountable, bro. You used to hold coaches accountable when the team comes out there and performs like the way the Ravens did over these last 2 games. You used to hold coaches accountable. Nowadays, you just blame the quarterbacks. That's what we do nowadays. We don't hold the coach accountable. People weren't saying, well, the coach doesn't play the game in the 90s. When the team stunk and they weren't doing their jobs and they weren't executing consistently, we looked at the coach and said, you're not doing your job because you're supposed to be a leader of these men and you're supposed to make sure they are disciplined and united as a football team. If they're not disciplined and united as a football team, then you're not doing your job as a head coach. And there you go, Moggs. You are a perfect example of the modern day football fan. You are a perfect example of modern day discourse. Everything's the quarterback's fault. You don't hold anybody else accountable. You don't hold the offensive coordinator who's paid. Our offensive coordinator is paid to do a job, and you don't hold him accountable for his play calling mishaps. Our defensive coordinator is paid to do a job, and you don't hold him accountable for the defensive mishaps. Our players are paid to do a job, and you don't hold the players responsible for looking like trash and getting beat on a week-to-week basis. You just lock into the quarterback and blame him for everything. That's modern day sports discourse. Defense gave up 2 95-plus yard touchdown drives. It's Lamar's fault we lost. Offensive line can't protect the quarterback. It's Lamar's fault. And you're the same way, Nikolai. You're going to hold anyone else responsible, or you're just going to say it's Lamar? And you're just saying Lamar quit. Yep, Lamar quit. He wasn't hurt. Sure, buddy. This is the discourse we get nowadays. It honestly makes it just tiring to want to discuss or debate with any sports fan nowadays. You just blame the quarterback and go about your day. Moms, I'm just saying, bro. I'm talking about the aspect with the Lamar stuff. I'm not looking at all the comment section because I'm seeing the aspect here of when you're talking about. I'm looking at the aspect where you were talking about Lamar Jackson should have checked the ball down, where I explained that with audibles, he can make audibles, but if the play call is not designed for any aspect to check into a check down, no. You sat back. I don't know if you've been talking about the offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator, because again, I'm getting a bunch of comments coming in. I guess you're arguing with everybody in the chat. Moggs, I'm speaking to your specific statement where you talked about Lamar Jackson should have checked the ball down or make these audibles into these short passing game or these screens. If the play calling isn't set to be able to check out of that, he can't make those changes. I don't think you understand. You can't just audible into whatever you want. That's not how that works. Like, I get Madden has made y'all believe you can really do that in the game. No matter how much the players explain this, you can't just check into, it's not how that works. The play is designed how it is. You can make certain changes and movements within the play, but you can't just go from one play and just check down. It's not how that works, man. It's not. So I'm explaining that to you for the Lamar part. I'm just holding him accountable too. He can call a timeout when the play call is trash. You have 3 timeouts, dude. He can't fully change into. He can't call a timeout every time the play calling is trash. That's waste all 3 timeouts, and then you don't have any timeouts. If the play calling is trash, which it's been a problem multiple times, you end up wasting a lot of timeouts. Now, I'm not saying you can't call a timeout when the play calling doesn't work. I agree with you on that. If there's a moment where you're looking at the defense, you try to check into something, you're reading the defense, it's not there, you even call an audible, and after the audible, you don't see anything favorable, call a timeout. Absolutely. Call a timeout. But you do realize you have a limited amount of timeouts. And there's only so many times you can call a timeout because you're not adding a short passing game into this. And it's not going to fix the overall problem. Play calling is part of the problem when you don't implement any short passing game into your offense. We don't have any short passing game. Like I said, it's the same issue Buffalo's offense had a few years back with Josh Allen. They for some reason, under their previous offensive coordinator, they refused to check the ball down and implement short passing games with Josh Allen. They just kept chucking the ball to Stephon Diggs. And we saw the result in all those turnovers. They get a new offensive coordinator. He implements more of the short passing system, getting things out quickly in this offense. and Josh Allen's a brand new man that doesn't turn the ball over. You need to implement those. So you have no play to check into. I didn't say that. I literally just stated it when you regarded to the timeout. I said if you go out there as the quarterback, you take a look at the defense, you look at what the defense is bringing, you check into something else, you call an audible, and even when you check into it, it's not there and it's not working, then I agree. Call a timeout. We've seen that. Hell, Lamar's called timeouts too when he's checked into something and the defense is still not in their favor. He'll see what the defense is reading. It's not where it needs to be. He'll make a check or an audible. It's still not there. And then he calls timeout. He's done that. Every quarterback does that. But I'm saying you have a limited amount of timeouts. So you can't be calling a timeout every single time in these moments. That's why there's times where you watch Lamar bail them out. And even John Harbaugh has literally spoken of this. John Harbaugh has literally spoken of this where there's times where Lamar has had to save them by making the plays. Legitimately, there are times where Lamar has saved them because, again, they have a limited amount of timeouts. You can't call timeout for every single mistake because eventually, if you're making 4, 5, 6 mistakes, which this offense tends to do, you're out of timeouts. And you need to preserve your timeouts there. So again, in that aspect, you need to make that change. So that's what I was saying in that aspect there. So I agree with the timeout statement. I'm just saying that in every aspect, there's only a limited amount of time. There's a limited time. So again, I have a bunch of comments here, so I'm just reading this how it can be. Okay? Making adjustments is crucial too. You are correct. Like, so you have no play to check in and you don't want to call a timeout, then your coaches are trash. Yeah. I agree with you on that one then. Play calling is trash. I agree with you then. I agree with you. I agree with that statement, absolutely. If you don't have that's definitely one of the problems that we would address. We've talked about the play calling and the coaching with this team. That is a problem. The coaching is definitely a problem in that aspect. These people act like Lamar is the offensive coordinator on top of being the quarterback. Lamar's not the offensive coordinator, but he does have the opportunities to call audibles. But you can't audible out of every single play call. You're not going to be able to do that all the time. It's just not. Also, Nikolai, Lamar is not the offensive play caller and the quarterback. Why would you have an offensive? He's not the offensive coordinator and the quarterback. That's not how that works. That's not how that works, buddy. He's not the offensive coordinator and he's the quarterback of the team. He's the quarterback of the team, but he's not the offensive coordinator and the quarterback. That's not how that works. You have an offensive coordinator for a reason. We got a clear example that play calling is very important recently. Eagles can't score at all against the Rams in the first half because offensive play calling is trash. Now, Philadelphia's situation is actually really interesting because the offensive coordinator is holding Jalen Hurts back, and his play calling is actually holding the offense back. You got to keep in mind with audibles that you have a limited amount of times with the play clock. You can't just keep calling audibles until you see something you like. That is another thing too. Payment, first of all, Mogs, you know damn well you can't put Peyton Manning in a conversation with anybody else. Peyton Manning was the greatest offensive mind we've ever seen. If there's anybody, I will give you that exception because Peyton Manning is my favorite quarterback. He's my personal goal. That's the greatest quarterback I've ever seen operate an offense. No one's Peyton Manning. Lamar is not Peyton Manning. None of these quarterbacks in the modern day era are Peyton Manning. In terms of being able to fully operate an offense, that guy knew everything from top to bottom. The only person that came close to doing that was Brady, but Peyton was better in that aspect. And again, even Peyton Manning would tell you he didn't switch into anything he wanted. An audible doesn't mean you can just switch to whatever play you want. That's not what an audible is. That is not what an audible is. Peyton Manning will tell you that straight hand. But Peyton Manning was different. We're not even making the comparison. Lamar is not Peyton Manning. We're not even making that conversation. But even Peyton Manning will tell you himself, you can't just audible into whatever you want. There's a limited amount of things you can do within you get a play call, you run it, and there's a limited amount of things you can do when you're making those adjustments and checkdowns. And this is another thing you guys have to understand. The play clock isn't going to wait forever. there's a limited amount of time to make the check down. So you get out of the huddle with 15 seconds left. You can make one or two audibles, but there's not enough time to make all the changes if you want to change it to multiple things. Eventually, that delay of game is going to happen. So you read what the defense showcases, you make a check, you check into an audible, and you check into audible that may be favorable based on what you're seeing on your defense. But if you're not able to check into anything short because of how the play call is structured, that does become problematic. That is where you got to improvise. And Harbaugh himself has talked about many times when Lamar Jackson has bailed them out in these circumstances, which I'm surprised no one speaks more of. Our head coach is speaking about how Lamar is bailing us out in these situations. That's not. I know you didn't make any comparison. I know you clearly you didn't make any comparison. So no one think Moggs made any comparison. He did not make any comparison to Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is one of one. But yeah, you're not able to change into everything within the audible. It's not possible. It's not even structured the way the play call is. You don't be like, okay, I'm gonna audible into this completely different play that fully changes the formation, and instead of us going spread, we're gonna come like no. This is not. It's not how that works. It's not like you just switch it to any single play call. That's not how audibles work, unfortunately. We don't know how many checks are in each play, to be honest. I've seen Lamar check into runs before, but to be honest, the personnel on the field wasn't what I would want either way. That's another thing that plays into the role of audibles and checkdowns. The personnel that you throw. You can't go into any single play call you want because the personnel you're working with on the field is ultimately the personnel you want to work. It's ultimately the personnel you can utilize within the change in the audibles. So it is what it is when it comes to that. You know? He has input on offense. Yes, Lamar has input on the offense, but that doesn't mean he's the offensive coordinator. The offense, guys, we already know how this all works. For each play, the offensive coordinator gives the play call to the quarterback. The quarterback in the huddle tells the players the play call. They break out of the huddle. They get set. The quarterback takes a look at what the defense is showcasing. If he feels the need to make any checkdowns, so any audibles or any changes at the line of scrimmage, he'll do that. If he wants to switch to protection, he'll do that. If he wants to shift the protection, he'll do that. If he wants to call an audible to switch it to a certain play that works well within their audibles within that play call, he does it. But Lamar can't be like, in the middle of this, we're getting the play call, there's 15 seconds left. Nah, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm not going to follow the play calling here. I'm just going to try to run a screen and then not tell anybody else this and be like, oh, I'm going to try to run this here, but I don't have the personnel I need to run the screen properly. And we're not even set up offensively to properly run a screen because we have a side where there's no blockers. So like, again, he has input on the offense, but still the play call is the play call. And there's only a limited amount of things that you can check down to. That's why I'm saying Lamar Jackson needs to be more vocal with the offensive coordinator. If he wants more screens in the offense, he needs to be vocal. That's why I'm criticizing Lamar for his vocal leadership. If you're watching this play call happening and you want more screens in the offense, be vocal about it. Speak about it. You need to be more vocal. Talk about it. Please talk about it. Do not sit around and be quiet. Speak on this. Please speak on this. Give me a second, guys. I'll be right back. And then we're going to wrap this up. All right, sorry, I just had to handle that just for a quick second. Got a few more things to wrap up, and then we can call it a night. Let's see here. Peyton Manning and Tom Brady was so fun to watch. Yes, they were. If you could change it to anything, none of the other players would know what to do. Obviously they prepare for the audibles, but again, personnel does play a role into what you can check into. Which is why if you're running a play where a screen is not available, you can't just audible into a screen. That's not how that works. It's what I mean. They want Lamar to be the most brilliant mind in quarterback history instead of telling the coaches to do their jobs better. I mean, I'm always fine with Lamar continuing to grow and improve as a quarterback. You want your quarterback to continue to grow from the mental standpoint because Lamar is at his physical peak and he understands the game completely. That's why he's playing at a high level right now. And that's why he had a historical season last year and is playing at an all-time high level. That's cool. But you always want your quarterback to continue to learn and grow. I mean, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady didn't become stagnant after year 7, year 8. They continue to improve and learn more and learn more and learn more and learn more. Right now, it's about the mental game for Lamar. So I'm fine with him continuing to learn, but coaches also need to do their jobs. So it's fine. I want Lamar to continue to be more and more improved and gain more and more knowledge and experience from the mental aspect in terms of learning everything it takes in the offense. That's what the all-time greats do. So I'm fine with Lamar continuing to learn and improve, and that's something he himself works on and does every offseason. So it's not a problem with that, with people wanting that for Lamar, because you always want your quarterback to improve. If it becomes stagnant, that's it. You don't want your quarterback to become stagnant. You want to continue to see the growth and improvement, even as they become, they become a full-on veteran and get into year 10 plus. So I'm fine with that. But yeah, the coaches also need to do their jobs better. No question. If you don't like the defense and it's an all-out blitz, I imagine you have an audible quick pass to beat the blitz. Well, first of all, if you're already, you should have something like that installed. You should have something like that installed. But here's the thing. The play call should, the play call should be able to have an audible where you could go into that. But most importantly, you should already have a play call where that is initially set up. Because if you're going up against a team that does this to you, you should have this set up. Baltimore knows Kansas City plays them the exact same way. Spags loves to dial up the blitz, and Spags plays the exact same type of defense against Baltimore every single time. You know he plays his exact same defense. So why don't you have play calls ready to deal with the blitz? Why don't you have play calls ready for that? And yes, you should also have audibles to be able to deal with that as well. I agree with that. But you should also have play calls that should be blitz when they're sending this amount of pressure, because the Chiefs actually blitz 46% of the time in that game. They're sending they're sending nonstop pressure. You should know what they're going to do because they do this to you every single time. So we need you to have play calls for that. We also need to make sure within those play calls you have audibles to handle situations like that. That is Harbaugh's scheme. Bail out on Lamar's talent, run deep, and if the line crumbles, run. Lamar, bail out the coach's trash. It's the same story every time. You're not going to win like that. Not winning a championship like that. Exactly, Joseph. Like Todd needs to stop being basic and get creative, accept those trick plays. Yeah, throw the trick plays away, get more creative with the play calling. It's just Lamar hero ball. Everyone runs 20 yards down the field. Lamar dip, ducks, and dodges, and throw a dot down the field, rinse and repeat. You're not winning a championship like that. You're just not. You're just not. He's not. Todd Monkey got comfy with Lamar doing it all. Everyone seems to get comfy with Lamar doing it all. But Lamar at some point is going to get tired of doing it all because he can't win on his own. It's a team game. Watching on TV from a fan's perspective is cool, but it's not the same on the field. Exactly. If any of our new coaches are idiots too, boom, Lamar can at least be prepared with a brilliant IQ. Lamar, obviously, you want to continue to improve. But again, the play callers are still the play callers, and there's only so much there's only so much the quarterback can do. We saw some of these same problems that Joe Burrow was dealing with last year. There's only so much you can ask the quarterback to do. There is. At some point, coaches have to do their jobs to relieve. The quarterback has so many things they have to do when they're on the field. They have so many tasks and so many things they have to manage. You as a coach have to do your job to make it easier for them. At some point, the quarterback's not going to be able to cover up everything that happens. Everything that goes wrong, the quarterback cannot cover it all. No quarterback can cover it all. That's why you end up getting beat at the end. As great as the quarterback is, they can't cover it all. You're going to need some help. You absolutely will need some help. Dude, we got embarrassed. Something must change. Something definitely has to change, but nothing's going to change. That's the problem. So it is what it is. Great stream. Thanks, Chaos. You know we were here for this one. And this is exactly what I was talking about. We've been here for 2 hours. This is why I start my therapy sessions the way I do. I spend the first 20 to 30 minutes talking about some lighthearted stuff. That's why we started this stream by talking about anime. Because we're 2 hours into this, and it has been definitely emotional for everybody. You have to start lighthearted before we go into the heavy stuff. So it is what it is. Stop trying to make him do all the other stuff that he may not be great at. Philly realized it 2 years ago. I think people need to understand this, and I've watched this from the greats. The less a quarterback has to do, the better the chances are that the team's going to win a championship. The less a quarterback has to do, the better chances a team has of winning a championship. And that's why I look at a team like the Buffalo Bills, and I think they have a great chance. That's why they keep getting to the AFC title game. I think they have a great chance to win a championship. They keep losing to the Chiefs because the Chiefs have mastered this, but the Buffalo Bills are right there with them. It's just the Bills can't beat the Chiefs. But the Chiefs have learned the less they make Josh Allen do, the more they have a chance to win. Baltimore just keeps going with this mindset of let's make Lamar do everything. So the more Lamar does, the less we have a chance to win because it's just all on Lamar. And you're asking Lamar to be perfect every single week of every single game against every single opponent in every single moment. That's impossible. No quarterback in the history of this game is going to be perfect 100% of the time. The less your quarterback has to do, the better your team has a chance to win. That's why when you're someone like Jalen Hurts, you are a winner and you can win because the less Jalen Hurts has to do, the more the Eagles win. And it at least puts the quarterback in that position where it's like, I don't have to do much. So when there are moments that come up where I actually have to do something, me and the team are ready because we're already set up to be able to do whatever we need to do. I don't have to do the most. I just have to put my trust and faith in the guys in front of me because I know they can do the job. And we get it done. That's why the Eagles are winning. They're not making Jalen Hurts do everything and be like, Jalen Hurts, save us every week. He's got all the protection in the world. He's got 2 Pro Bowl receivers. He's got the best running back in football. He's got the best defense in football. They don't make Jalen Hurts do a lot. The less a quarterback has to do in terms of handling everybody else's job. If you just let the quarterback be the quarterback and let him do his job, and he doesn't have to bail you out on everything else, you're going to win. Josh Allen right now is set up in that situation offensively. They don't have Josh Allen doing everything. He's got an offensive line that can protect him. He's got a fantastic running back that can actually run the ball, so he doesn't have to play hero ball. And he's got receivers that are making plays. The less Josh Allen has to do, the more efficient he's going to be, and the more the Buffalo Bills are going to win. If you make the quarterback have to bail you out every week and do everything, eventually you're going to lose because he can't do everything every single week. It's not possible. No quarterback has won a championship doing everything, covering everybody's ass for everything. No, at some point, the quarterback is going to need some help. Even with the comebacks that Brady's had in the Super Bowl and comebacks that Mahomes had in the Super Bowl, the defense had to make stops to help them. You need help. And if you're not getting help, you're going to lose. That's just how it is. The less a quarterback has to do, the better of a chance the team has to win. This Ravens team wasted so many years. Lamar already should have fired Greg Roman a year or two earlier. It is what it is. Philly peeped 2 years ago. Jalen can't throw the ball 40 times a game, so they built a team where he rarely does, and they have won a chip. And they've also been to another chip. Lamar needs someone like McVay. Dude, we've been saying for a while, man, Lamar needs to be in the West Coast offense. If Lamar was in the West Coast offense, things would be so different. If he was in the West Coast offense, good Lord. Oy. You're right. He doesn't have to be Einstein for the Ravens to win a chip. We know that. But it doesn't hurt to continue to improve. We're not saying he's the problem in that, but the coaching staff needs to do their jobs. Our first drive against Kansas City was immaculate. Yeah, that's how they should have played. But once again, the Ravens decided to move away from what works to do something that doesn't work. Did they blitz on that first drive? Yes. And they responded with quick passes and quick throws like they should have. But they, for some reason, decided to move away from that on the second drive and never got back to it. And why is it only Spags? He did well against the blitz when it was the Bills and he improved versus Steelers. Okay, number one, you got to give credit for Spags. He's one of the best defense coordinators in the game for a long time. Number two, Spags runs the thing that Spags runs is the number one thing we're afraid. The number one thing we're not afraid of, but the number one thing we struggle with, it's man blitz. Lamar in the offense, Lamar doesn't struggle with man coverage. He doesn't struggle with zone coverage. He doesn't struggle with zone blitzes, but he struggles with man blitzes specifically because one, the offensive line can't hold up, and two, we never seem to have any blitz beaters in this situation. Zay Flowers is a perfect person you should target on these blitzes. We don't have anything quick for Zay Flowers to utilize. Do you know how easy it would be if the blitz is coming? You could just check it down to Zay Flowers and let him use his speed. We don't do that. We just don't do that. We just don't do that. I just don't think the Ravens believe in Lamar. If that's the case, Lamar, you might as well leave if they don't believe in you. Bills realize they don't need Josh to be a hero, and that's how he won MVP. And magically, he's MVP. You hit the nail on the head. You never want your quarterback doing everything all the time. Yeah, the less a quarterback has to do, the more you have, the more your chances improve to win. If you just let the quarterback do his job and not have to cover everybody's ass, you can win. I really think this Baltimore season is the same as 2021. Sad to say, it's an injury season. They weren't good even before the injury started, Steve. They weren't good before the injury started. And unlike 2021, the injuries that they have aren't season ending. In 2021, these injuries were season ending. So the guys that are all on injury the guys that are all on the injury list, they're out for a few weeks, but they're not out for the season. In 2021, these injuries were season ending. The only one that's had a season ending one right now was Ardarius Washington during the offseason, and now Nnamdi Madubuike with his neck injury. But everyone I talked about is going to be out for a few weeks. So honestly, there's a chance you get some of these guys back coming out of the bye week. Lamar hasn't been getting any help on defense or special teams either with turnovers. Defense only gave him 1 turnover in 8 playoff games. Eagles defense got 2 for Hurts in just the Super Bowl game. Matt, I talked about this between this era. I pointed this out, and I'll keep saying it. I'm going to make this video at some point. I'm going to make a video about this at some point, but there's a huge difference. The Ravens defense of today and the Ravens defense back then, drastically different. People talk about the issues with the Ravens and why they can't win the playoff games, and I say there's a big factor that plays into the offense, but the defense does nothing to really help them. And they'll be like, well, the defense makes stops, but you're missing an aspect here. The biggest aspect that you're missing is turnovers. People talk about Flacco having all those playoff wins, but they don't really know the full context. And they'll talk about John Harbaugh having all these playoff wins as a head coach, but they don't really talk about the context of how the Ravens are winning those playoff games. Baltimore had a Hall of Fame defense during those years they were competing. From 2008 to 2012, they had Ray Lewis, they had Ed Reed, they had Terrell Suggs, they had all these guys. They had a legit Hall of Fame defense. The defense we have right now, it's not even close. I'm going to point this out again to you because there's a bunch of things I have in regards to that video. I want to point this out to you right now. The Ravens defense from 2018 to 2024. So from Lamar's first playoff game to where it was last year, from 2018 to 2024, the Ravens defense has generated 3 turnovers. 3 turnovers in the Lamar Jackson era. And it's technically 2 turnovers because the 1 turnover that happened was in 2022 when Tyler Huntley was a starter. So the Ravens defense has created 2 turnovers, 2 turnovers in the 8 playoff games Lamar Jackson has played in. 2 turnovers in the 8 playoff games Lamar has played in. From 2018 to 2024. 2 turnovers in 8 playoff games. 6 years worth of playoff performances, 2 turnovers. The Ravens defense from 2008 to 2012. That was the year we won a playoff game every single year, went to 2 AFC championship games and a Super Bowl. Guess what the Ravens did guess what the Ravens defense did from 2008 to 2012? The Ravens defense, from that Hall of Fame defense with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Terrell Suggs and all those guys, the Ravens defense from 2008 to 2012 generated 38 turnovers in the playoffs. 5 years worth of playoff games, 38 turnovers created in those 5 years by the defense. And you're wondering why they were winning playoff games back then, but not winning playoff games now. From 2008 to 2012, the Ravens defense generated 38 turnovers in the playoffs. Meanwhile, this current gen Ravens defense from 2018 to 2024, they've generated 3 total turnovers in the playoffs within a 6-year span. And honestly, I don't even want to count 2018 because Terrell Suggs was still there. Because that was the last bit of greatness we had on the defense. We haven't had an edge rusher do anything significant since Terrell Suggs finally left here. So let me take off 2018, honestly. From the MVP season of 2019, it's really 1 turnover in the Lamar Jackson. How many Juju. In the Lamar Jackson era, the Ravens defense has created 3 turnovers in the playoffs. One of them happened when Lamar wasn't playing. That was 2022. The other 2 happened in 2018, and the other one was in 2020. That was Marcus Peters picking off the Titans in the wildcard round. That's what we've gotten in the Lamar Jackson era. 3 turnovers in the playoffs, 2 of them happening with Lamar Jackson as a starting quarterback in the postseason. And one of those turnovers happened his rookie year. Meanwhile, the Hall of Fame defense from 2008 to 2012 generated 38 turnovers in a 5-year span. 38 turnovers in the playoffs from that Hall of Fame defense in a 5-year span. And you're wondering why we won a playoff game every single year, went to 2 AFC title games, and won a Super Bowl. That year we won the Super Bowl in 2012, the defense generated 10 turnovers. 2012, they generated 10 turnovers in 4 playoff games. 10 turnovers. That's over 2 turnovers a game, by the way. 10 turnovers by that defense in 2012 when we won the Super Bowl. 10 turnovers in 1 playoff run. 38 turnovers in a 5-year span by that defense. But this modern-day Ravens defense, 3 total turnovers. And you're wondering why we can't win in the playoffs. Yes, our quarterback plays a role, but do you realize Flacco's won playoff games where he's been terrible? We whooped New England in 2009. In the 2009 wildcard round, we whooped the New England Patriots. We blew them out. Flacco in that game, 4 for 10 for 34 yards in the interception. Yeah, he really helped us win against the Patriots. You know how we won against the Patriots? Because we generated 5 turnovers, 2 picks. I think Ed Reed had 2 interceptions off of Brady in that game. In the first half, by the way. We actually opened up that game offensively with an 80-yard touchdown run by Ray Rice. So Ray Rice was doing his job. The defense was smoking Tom Brady out the building. And Flacco was 4 for 10 for 34 yards. One in New England with that type of stat line from your quarterback. Go look at Flacco's stats from 2008 to 2010. Go look at his stats. Go look at how he played in all those playoff games. And look at all those playoff wins and see what happened. It's easy for the Ravens to win when the Ravens offense turns the ball over twice, but the defense generates 5 turnovers. We have multiple playoff games between 2008 and 2012. We have multiple playoff games where the defense generated 5 turnovers in a single game. It's easy to win when your defense can create turnovers like that. And you're wondering why in this era we can't win. See, these are the things people aren't talking about. Everyone wants one guy to be perfect and will ignore everything else that's happening here. Nobody fears this defense in the playoffs because they don't do anything in the playoffs. This current gen Ravens defense has generated 3 turnovers between 2018 and 2024. They can't create turnovers. Our Hall of Fame defense was creating turnovers left, right, up, and down. Our defense wasn't losing the turnover battle in the playoffs, and that's with the offense turning the ball over multiple times. We beat in 2008 against Chad Pennington, we beat the Miami Dolphins. Flacco and the offense turned the ball over twice. Who cares that we turned the ball over twice? We had 5 turnovers generated. Ed Reed had 2 picks in that game against Chad Pennington. When your defense can generate 4 turnovers in the playoff game, and 5 turnovers in the playoff game, and 3 turnovers in the playoff game, when you're winning the turnover battle every single game, of course you're going to win in the playoffs. Because you're winning the turnover battle by a large margin. But then you look in this current gen era, if our offense makes a single mistake, if our quarterback turns the ball over, game over in the playoffs. Lamar has to be perfect in order for this team to win. And I don't think that's ever going to happen in the playoffs. You're asking him to be perfect in order for us to win? You're right, Joseph. We never lost a turnover battle in the playoffs back then. We've lost playoff games where we didn't lose the turnover. We would have playoff games where we lost prior to Flacco, where we didn't lose the turnover battle, and we still won. 2006, arguably the best defense we've had in franchise history. Ed Reed picked off Peyton Manning twice. We had multiple turnovers created. We held the Colts offense to, 15 points? They didn't score a single touchdown, and we lost. The lack of a West Coast scheme has our offense hurt. Yeah. Allen, 8 games, sacks, 20. 8 games, sacks, 22 turnovers, 7 touchdowns. 22 turnovers, 7 touchdowns, 1 drives, started in opponent's territory. What is? You're showing numbers. In the playoffs. Okay, Lamar in playoff games, he's been sacked. 7 games, sacks 11, turnovers. By the defense. Okay, you're talking about the defense. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. The Ravens had 11 sacks in those playoff games. Or 11 turns, 0 drives started in opponent's territory. 0. That is true. We've never had. That's another thing I forgot, Matt. You are absolutely right about that. Lamar has never started in the playoffs. Lamar has never started in the opponent's territory. Never. You're absolutely right about that. That's why I've been saying that you're asking your quarterback to be perfect in the playoffs and then wonder why we lose every year. Yeah. I remember the game. I couldn't believe we lost that game. They didn't score a touchdown. Yeah. Steve McNair was dealing with injuries towards the end of the year, and he just played like trash in that game. There is a story that he went to a strip club the night before the game, and that's why he wasn't locked in. I'm not going to talk about that, but people still have a lot of anger towards how that year ended because that defense should have won a championship. But, it is what it is. But, yeah, these are things that you point to when you look at this and say, hey, you're wondering why the Ravens don't win in the playoffs. Their defense doesn't generate turnovers, and the offense never starts in the opponent's territory. That plays a role. Someone go look at the amount of turnovers Kansas City has created during their dynasty, and you'll see the biggest aspect as to why they're winning. Their defense makes stops in key situations, and they create turnovers. We don't have that here in Baltimore with this defense. We don't. Can I get an apology? I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, with this defense, like, I have to make this, bro. I really do have to make this. And explain why the no one fears the Ravens defense anymore. I really have to make that video as to why no one fears the Ravens defense. I'm looking to the bye week to do that. When the bye week comes up, I'm making that video about why no one fears the Ravens defense anymore and the biggest difference between the Ravens defense of today and the Ravens defense of the past. Because again, 38 turnovers generated in 5 years of playoff games from 2008 to 2012. And then from 2018 to 2024, 3 turnovers created by our defense in this modern day era. And you're wondering why we can't win. And we've never started in the opponent's territory in this modern day era with Lamar Jackson. That plays a role. Worst part that kills me with our fans is that we've seen our defensive league carry us to chips, and we act like now we need the perfect offense to win. It's nuts to me. Yeah, my bad, bro. If I was, again, there's so many comments. If I was missing aspects and getting certain pieces, everybody was going wild during the comments there. So if I missed some pieces there, that is my fault. I'll take responsibility for that. Sometimes when the chat's going too fast, I'll see, maybe some of them I'll see that you're maybe responding to somebody and I'm thinking it's a comment you're giving to me, but you're responding to somebody and I'll see it. It's a whole thing. So yeah, my bad, bro. But it's all love here. The NFL draft is so overhyped. All these first round picks add up to nothing. I mean, this is how it's always been with the draft. Just because you drafted him in the first round doesn't mean he's going to work. You're right, Joseph. I hate that the fact that Lamar has to be perfect to win games. It puts a lot of pressure on him, and that's why we see a lot of hero ball in these games. I really got to go take a look at the turnovers that are generated by these other defenses. I'm telling you, I'm about to really make that video where I'm talking about the biggest problem with the Ravens and why they can't win in the playoffs and all this other stuff. Lamar plays a role into that. But Lamar doesn't have to be perfect in these scenarios. If your defense can give you some help, everyone just watches the Ravens defense do a decent job making stops, and they don't talk about the fact that the Ravens never start in opponent's territory. The Ravens offense has never started in the opponent's territory. Lamar's played 8 playoff games. He's never once started an offensive drive in the opponent's territory. His defense has generated 2 turnovers with him being the starting quarterback. This is why no one fears the Ravens defense. A defense that used to create turnovers like this. They don't do nothing nowadays. We used to walk into playoff games and watch Ed Reed just pick off every quarterback. It was expected. We would go into playoff games knowing this defense is going to generate at least 3 turnovers. Can we get something from the offense? We knew what the defense was going to do. They were going to be ready for prime time. In fact, I feel like I really want to see. I don't know how many games we could look at playoff wise and say that this defense didn't show up during that era, man. It's a shame. And the funny thing, during the Super Bowl run, everyone's going to talk about the Flacco 11 touchdowns interception, but people forget the defense did their jobs. The only time you'll look at it and say the defense didn't do their job was in the Super Bowl, and that was due to a blackout, which basically took everyone out the game. But yeah, like 20 against the Colts in the wild card round, our defense gave up 9 points. Against the Denver Broncos in the divisional round, our defense gave up 21 points. Yes, our defense gave up 21 points. I know the final score was 38-35, but if any of you guys remember watching that game, Trendon Holiday had 2 touchdowns, a punt return touchdown and a kick return touchdown. That's 14 points that was given up by special teams, not by the defense. The Broncos offense gave up 38 points of offense. Our defense in that game gave up 21. If the special teams does a good job, by the way, our head coach, who's supposed to be a special teams expert, former special teams coach John Harbaugh, his defense gave up 2 special teams touchdowns in that playoff game. We nearly blew it because they couldn't. It's in the past. We won that game. It is what it is. But our defense gave up. Our defense gave up 21 points. In the AFC Championship game against Tom Brady, our defense gave up 13 points. The only time our defense gave up a bunch of points was that 34-31 game in the Super Bowl. And again, a blackout happened and everybody was sitting out for 45 minutes. The momentum shifted after that. It is what it is. But guys, we have gone over the quota. This is crazy. We've been here for 2.5 hours. It is 1 a.m. I have got to call it a night, guys. This has been the Ravens Week 4 therapy session. Talked about it a lot. A lot of emotions were shared here. And man, it's been quite the journey today. This is why I started the stream talking about anime, because I knew this was going to go off the rails, because it always goes off the rails. When the team's playing well, we can chill out. But the team's in a critical situation. It's not a good look. I got to start, man. I got to make sure I start these therapy sessions early. I got to start them earlier because, legit, it's a lot. So we got to start these earlier, man. But, yeah, it's 1 a.m. I don't want to hold you guys up much longer, man. I appreciate everybody tuning in to this Week 4 therapy session. There's so much more we could continue to talk about with the Ravens, and I'm sure we will continue to speak on this. But yeah, Rowan Marlowe left out before LJ, but everyone says LJ quit. People are free to say whatever they want. It's what it is. No, I'm not really willing to listen on people's opinions on things like that. So be it. But yeah, I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna get back to watching. I gotta finish watching this fight between Goku and Vegeta. I probably will watch something else. Maybe I might watch the first Naruto and Sasuke fight. I'll watch something before I go to sleep. But I'm gonna let you guys go. It's 1:16 in the morning. Boy, I'm telling you, man, we could talk about the Ravens forever. When there's a million problems wrong with the team, there's so much to talk about, and there's just a lot, bro. So it feels like this had to be put out here. So yeah, defense has to bail out Hamilton, but Lamar quit. It's a lot, bro. Secondary is actually destroyed. Yep. I'm up at work right now, so this is getting me through. I appreciate it, man. I gotta be at work tomorrow too, so I do gotta get some sleep. But yeah, it's just a lot, man. It's just a lot with this team. Most of us have come to terms. There's still some that are delusional, but most of us come to terms that this team is not winning this year, and it's basically over. And even if they make the playoffs, they have no chance to do anything here unless significant changes are made. But we still have to talk about this team. Guys, it's week 4, and everybody's already exhausted. We're 4 weeks in. Week 4 ended today with Monday Night Football. We are heading into week 5. We're 4 games into the season, and it feels like the season's over. Whether we go on to make the playoffs or not, we're 4 games into the season, and everybody's exhausted, everybody's frustrated, everybody's tired, everybody's damn near giving up, and the season feels like it's over. 4 games in. Would have never thought this would have been the case. 4 games in. Think about this. We were 2-2 at this point. But even when the defense was playing bad, they weren't playing this bad. They gave up 27 points to the Chiefs in week 1. They gave up 26 to the Raiders. Week 3 against the Cowboys, they gave up 25. They ended up having a huge comeback. In week 4 against the Buffalo Bills, they actually locked things down there and gave up, 13 points? So, the defense wasn't playing well, but they weren't historically bad. This year, they're historically bad, and they're on pace to give up the most points by any defense in NFL history. That's how bad they're in. Last year, we were 2-2, and our defense was averaging giving up, what, 25 points a game? This year, we're 1-3, and our defense is averaging giving up nearly 35 points a game. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, guys. 41 points, 17 points, 38 points, and then 37? It's a lot, man. But yeah, really thought we had a chance this year. If we can't beat the Texans, it just might be over for the playoffs. We'll see what happens. We have to be here to speak about the Texans, so we'll be dealing with that. But it's been fun, guys. It's now 1:20 for me. I have got to end this here. Trust me, we'll have more to speak on throughout the week. I might make another stream just before we talk about the Ravens and Titans, so be on the lookout for that. Also, guys, be on the lookout for my I think I might do it this week because with the way things are going, I might pop up and do a quick stream where we just talk about anime and stuff because I think the fans need some sort of break. We'll talk about anime, we'll talk about movies, we'll talk about cartoons. We'll have a good old jolly time here. So I may have a stream like that this week just because I feel like a lot of the fans really need something to wind down. I don't want everybody to be overly stressed because of how bad this team is. We accept what they are and we just deal with the circumstance. I don't want people to get overly stressed. So be on the lookout. Be on the lookout. We will probably talk again about this Ravens team before my preview video about the Ravens and Texans. I don't even know if I'll make a preview video. I may make a live stream instead. I don't think this team deserves preview videos right now because there's nothing really to speak of this team. But before we talk about the Ravens and Texans, I may make another video. And be on the lookout this week. At some point, we'll do our live stream to talk about anime, to talk about movies and cartoons and stuff because I just think the Ravens flock needs that right now. I just think we all need a safe space to just talk about things unrelated to football, to kind of just have something to talk about and enjoy. So be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for that. If Lamar not playing, we're not beating the Texans. Cooper Rush, or Texas with Cooper Rush, and damn sure not beating the Rams either, for sure. With that being said, guys, this has been the Week 4 therapy session. I want to thank everybody for tuning into the session. This has been a lot. Emotions are definitely high in the Ravens flock right now, but we will get through this. So everybody just keep your head up and don't let this team get you so down emotionally. It is what it is. We deal with the circumstances and we keep moving forward. With that being said, guys, I'm going to bed. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, everybody. Good night to all. Make sure to stay safe and peace out. See you later, guys.